1, 2, 3. Skr, skr, skr. You already know who it is, Osiris Lord, and if you don't know, now you're tuned into the Lourde Under The Scope, where we talk about something interesting, we learn some stuff, and you already know we talk that shit. Yeah, might talk about a little bit of fashion, might talk about a little bit of swagging, might talk about a little bit of cashing, hustling, smoking, never doping, never coking. So you already know, let's get into it. It's Osiris Lord, like I said, Life Under The Scope, aka Lourde Under The Scope, and we just gonna get into this kind of first episode, the pilot episode, the prequel before the swag is actually maxed out, outlined, framed up. And right now we're just gonna talk about myself. I'm Osiris Lord, like I said, from East New York. I'm living currently out in Vegas, doing my thing, cashing, hustling, smoking, never doping, never coking, but I'm always open to get the bag. Anyway, I'm out here about to switch the swag up. What can we talk about today? The first thing we're going to talk about is what is a podcast? A podcast, in this day and age, everybody thinks a podcast is basically like a talk show. But it's really just a recording of audio or video. And nowadays, it's kind of just like people say, something like Joe Rogan's show. I mean, Joe Rogan's show is a podcast. Like, that is like to me personally, that is like the ultimate form. There's no real like tricks to it. It's him, his guests, maybe Elon Musk smoking some weed or something, some real lit shit, what I'm saying? Some real lit shit. But we got a lot of people who think, having a podcast is a lot of work. Myself included, I used to think having a podcast was just gonna be like, oh, I need to have all this fancy stuff, I need to do all of these things. But realistically, all you need is a microphone. And honestly, you can start a podcast with your recording notes. You know what I'm saying? You can just record the notes in your joint, put it out, have 3 topics or whatever. So basically, that's a podcast. A podcast is really just a recording of audio or video. So boom, podcast. You don't have to have a certain structure. It doesn't need to necessarily be a talk show. You can just get on there and start crying. That's your podcast. I ain't gonna do no crying, but you already know what I do. So anyway, that's the podcast. On my podcast, what I hope and intend on doing is teaching some things, maybe have some current events, what's going on in the world, things that maybe people in the hood don't necessarily get to I guess just check out all the time. I feel like I'm a big advocate of teaching and learning, and a lot of people don't necessarily leave their environment, and I am blessed enough to be able to leave my environment all the time. Here, there, go to New York, go to Florida, go to Vegas, might go get some motherfucking organic juices and motherfucking shit, smoke some organic weed, do what the fuck I do, hustle, cash out, hit the thrift store, ching ching, $5 turn into $500. You already know what the fuck I do, Yeah, the podcast is cool. Like, I like rap. I like rapping. I love rapping. Don't get me wrong. I love rap. But honestly, I feel like in this day and age, the what you have to do in order to get like lit in rap, honestly, that shit is too much work, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, podcasters and YouTubers and Twitch people be having way more money than people in the music industry, you know what I'm saying? In the music industry, I feel like it's a lot of people just kind of like borrowing clothes, borrowing jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of like fake flexing, just wearing fake clothes and all that. I don't even know how I got into that, but anyway, my point of that was I fuck with doing music, and I'm gonna still drop some music here and there, I'm gonna put some stuff out, whatnot, but I really feel like I have a lot to say nowadays, and it doesn't have anything to do with music. So that's why we're here with Lourde Under The Scope. I'm gonna teach you guys about some weed stuff, some random facts, and that's really it. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna make this first prequel episode that long. I'm just gonna say again, Osiris Lord. I'm from East New York, currently living in Vegas, and it's lit. Welcome to the Lourde Under The Scope. 1, 2, 3. Osiris Lord here, the Lourde Under The Scope, and we're gonna talk about some mental health stuff today. That's the topic. Just wanted to start by saying, I'm sorry, I be taking mad long, but it's just my life. I be going through it, thinking I'm not going through it, but I'm going through it. like everybody else. I ain't here to give you no sad story or nothing like that. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to just jump into what we gonna talk about today, because if we don't do that, I'm gonna be rambling. And like I said, today's topic's gonna be mental health. And the 7 types of mental disorders that we got are anxiety disorders, mood disorders, psychotic disorders, eating disorders, personality disorders, dementia, and autism. Now, some of you are probably very familiar with some of these, and some of you are potentially going through some of these things yourself, especially autism. You know, a lot of people have family members who have autism. We may see people with personality disorders. I believe that's DID. Some people have DID. Some people just have regular personality disorders, eating disorders. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, excuse me if I'm wrong. But anorexia. Let's see. We got some eating disorders. Oh, there's actually a symbol and everything. Yeah, I was gonna say bulimia. So just, eating disorder. It's our behavioral conditions characterized by severe and persistent disturbance in eating behaviors and associated, people potentially who eat and can't keep it in their stomach. They throw up, things of the nature. But anyway, mental disorders, mental health, a lot of things that people don't talk about. I'm going to try to keep this out of the format of a bougie YouTube person. We're just going to keep it real live, So a lot of us go through mental disorders, mental illnesses, and may not even know. We're super moody. We may just chalk it up to being, Osiris is moody today, blase blah. But realistically, I'm going through some stuff, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna even lie to you. I be going through it. 1 minute I'm hyper. 1 minute I'm like not depressed. I don't really think I'd be depressed. Or at least I'm not as depressed as the next person, because I have like a pretty lovely life, not to, brag or anything. I don't really have like real responsibilities and stuff like that. I kind of just have like fake responsibilities. As long as my rent is paid every month and like I speak to like my mother at least, 100 times a month, everything's pretty good. But other than that, life is pretty good. But sometimes I get really bored, and my boredness just makes me feel like, what is there to do? Why do I keep waking up? And then I just start trying to do all these creative things and starting projects and not finishing them, and then come back to it a year later, and most of the time I'm just kind of like, dude, let's do this, let's do that. And I get discouraged that my friend doesn't want to do that. And then I just kind of like, I don't even know what I'm rambling about. You know what I'm saying? All I know is that I'm bipolar. You know what I'm saying? I would say, I would straight up tell y'all like this. You know what I'm saying? There's different types of, like mental illness is such an I don't even know. It's not underrated. It's not spoken about enough by a lot of different communities, especially the Black community, or at least it's not. Basically, instead of us talking about the drip, the swag, all of this, because most people don't even got no swag, So I might as well just get the swag up and start talking about mental health. Anyway, I'm gonna just straight up say I'm bipolar. You know what I'm saying? I'm self-diagnosed. I never went to the doctor or nothing, but like one thing I do know about myself is I'm bipolar for sure. And just because I don't be yelling at people don't mean that I'm not bipolar or I have, tendencies to be bipolar. So people with bipolar experience both episodes of severe depression and episodes of mania, overwhelming joy, excitement, or happiness, huge energy, a reduced need for sleep, and reduce inhibitions. The experience of bipolar is uniquely personal. No two people have exactly the same experience. So you see how Kanye is very, I'm on top of the world, and then it's like nobody's listening to me, and I'm crying on TV, but nobody gives a fuck, and that's bipolar. That is bipolar. I relate to Kanye so much, and people, aside from fashion and style and all that stuff, people probably wouldn't think that I relate to Kanye. I relate to Kanye in so many ways. It's disgusting. You know, he's not like necessarily my idol or like any type of person that I'm just kind of like, yo, dude, like I want to be like Kanye. But I see so many things in Kanye that I relate to that it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Even the things that people don't like about Kanye, people be like, I don't like this about Kanye. I be sitting in the background mad quiet. Like I totally agree with that. So there are actually different types of bipolar disorder. So they have like bipolar 1. Bipolar 1 disorder is the most common of the 4 types. Bipolar 2 disorder is characterized by the shifting between the less severe hypomaniac episodes and depressive episodes. They have BP3. Let me just go into something more descriptive. But basically, BP3 is called like cyclothymic disorder, defined by periods of hypomaniac symptoms as well as periods of depressive symptoms lasting for at least 2 years. 1 year in children and adolescents. However, the symptoms do not meet the diagnostic requirements for a hypomaniac episode and depressive episode. So basically, like, that one's kind of like, I feel like you could be depressed. I mean, you can be hypomaniac. You can be like on top of the world, you know what I'm saying? And then like be depressed. But I feel like the depression is not necessarily so severe as, you know, as someone who was like, oh, I'm super happy. Now I'm depressed. You know, like I kind of feel like I get super happy, or at least I used to get super happy. And then it would be like depressed, but I understand that like I'm just depressed because of something I am expecting, if that makes sense. You know, like if you make clothes and stuff like that and you release it and you're on top of the world, oh yeah, I just created this whole like clothing line and all these things, and then it's time to sell it and then nobody buys it and you get depressed. But you're not necessarily like end of the world depressed, or you're not angry or anything. You're just kind of like, wow, like this sucks. You know, like I feel like I'm totally in that vibe a lot of the time. But then it got to a point where I just didn't care, which is kind of like where I am right now. I kind of feel like I'm in a state where like I just don't really care. And it's not like, I mean, technically I guess I am depressed, but I'm not depressed like, oh, I'm sad, I'm crying. I'm just kind of like, I don't feel like talking to you. I don't really feel like answering your text. You're saying something not important. I don't care about like making clothes. I don't care about making music. I don't care about necessarily what you're doing. And it's not like disrespectfully or anything. It's just kind of like I just don't care. I feel like I'm 30 years old. I spent so much time like building up a certain type of vibe or like character or just my life. I don't really view myself as a character. I kind of just view myself as a person who develops and transitions a lot throughout my life. And I feel like with learning and, you know, just growing as a human being, why would you want to remain the same person all the time? Like, you can have your general principles. I feel like, you know, you can be like, I'm gonna have my morals and values and things like that, but I don't necessarily feel like you have to remain the same person. And also, why would you want to remain the same person? Why would you want to even be quote unquote normal? Apparently being normal is actually being like the odd one. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know me as a person, you know I'm very observant, I'm very quiet, I'm very calm, I'm very collective. You know, I don't really speak until I have something important to say, or just kind of like I just don't speak. You know, I just feel like if I'm in a room, I don't know any of these people. It's not antisocial. It's just kind of like I'm gonna speak when I'm spoken to or when I have something of relevance. I don't need to be the highlight of the party where everybody's like, look at me, talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. Actually, you don't deserve to talk to me, and I potentially don't deserve to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're talking. I'm just saying, like, that's how life is now. That's how life should be. It's kind of like You get into all this, you meet somebody, start blabbing, blah, 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 blah. I do this, I do that, I do this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, one, they don't even care. Two, you're overwhelming them. Three, like, now they're going to pick something that you said that potentially isn't even important, and they're going to crown you as that person. This is the photographer guy. You know what I'm saying? Just because you had a camera that day, and now you're the photographer guy. So anyway, when it comes to first time meeting people, I don't even really, like, talk to people like that, because your first impression, sure, blah, 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 but just also, like, why do you need to, unless you're at a function, unless you're at something that's like, okay, I want to mix up and talk to all these people. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling, getting off point. So anyway, so I kind of just feel like, yeah, right now I'm at a point, me personally, where I kind of just don't care, and that's okay. Like, it is okay if you don't care. It's all right. You don't have to be. My personal mood right now is like, I haven't really been on social media like that. I haven't really even been outside. I mean, I've been, washing my ass and all of that type of stuff, but I'm just saying, like, I haven't really been trying to engage. I haven't been going and reaching out to people like I usually do, or like, showing people how to do things on Instagram or social media, just outgoing and telling people you can do it too, because, like, I just kind of don't feel like it. So, yeah, I mean, that's just a quick overview of just where I'm at. Um, Excuse me. Okay, we back on deck. So yeah, that's just kind of like where I am as far as mental health. Like, I'm good. I just kind of don't care. Sure, if you reach out to me, I'll definitely contact and talk to you back. Hold on. So basically, okay, because there's actually a word. There's a word. Okay, I just googled it. What is the feeling of I don't care? Feeling as if you don't care about anything anymore may be related to anhedonia or apathy. Anhedonia is a mental state in which people have an inability to feel pleasure. It is often a symptom of mental health conditions such as depression, bipolar disorder, and substance use. Now, like I said, I am bipolar. I know that. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad word. If y'all know me, you know I'm not, like, angry. So, like, you can tell sometimes, like, okay, Osiris is off, but my off compared to someone else's off is like, I'm just a little quiet, as opposed to being like, yo, what's up? Y'all want to go do this? Or, like, I might not want to roll a blunt. Like, it's nothing extreme for me where it's like, oh, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. It's just you today. It's nothing that extreme. And if you don't know me, you probably won't even know, like, I'm upset or, like, I'm just not feeling it today. And honestly, 10 times out of 10, I'm just not going to come outside unless I'm, like, required to do so, or I have some sort of thing that I said I was going to do. But anyway, yeah. So I just kind of feel like I'm not depressed, I'm not angry. It's just I'm not really feeling the ways I used to, as far as, like, I mean, I kind of feel like I've always been introverted versus extrovert, and I've just been a highly functioning I feel like I've just been always a highly functioning productive person, despite the mood or situation I'm in, because I know I have to progress forward. You know, like, I kind of just built myself up to be like a robot after a while, because super long story short, this is for another day. Like, before, I used to be super narcissistic. If you know me and you're watching this and you know me from, like, literally, like, maybe like 7 years ago, not even that long ago, even some within the last couple years, who knows? I personally don't feel like I've been a jerk the last couple years, but who knows? People might think I may have been a jerk. But anyway, you know that I was actually really a jerk. So I worked on a lot of stuff, what do they call it? Shadow work. I call it shadow boxer. You dig? You know what I'm saying? Shaolin shadow boxing in the soul. You dig?
Anyway, I worked on myself, you know what I'm saying? Got a little bit better mentally, physically, all of these types of things. And now I'm up to the point where I feel like, yeah, I can control my emotions, but I can control my emotions so well and stuff like that that it feels like I'm a robot sometimes. And sometimes I kind of just very rarely. It's been recently that I've been experiencing this because I can still control my emotions and all that stuff. But basically, what I'm saying is, I've just kind of done such a good job that like it's annoying for me to like kind of leak out feelings and things like that. You know, like I get confused when I get overwhelmed. I get confused when I'm overstimulated. I get confused when like I don't know what to do, you know, and like I don't necessarily not know what to do as far as like my thought process and my productivity and or my just like my life. I usually know what to do in my life. So when something happens to me mentally where I just can't figure something out or like I just start feeling really sad for no reason or like I just don't care, I get kind of confused and it freaks me out, which is basically what is happening right now. Now, again, I don't necessarily feel like I'm depressed. I mean, I don't really like I'm kicked back right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't have my bills are paid. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not necessarily like boo hoo depressed. I just really don't know and I don't really care. And every time I think about doing something as far as creativity or like, you know, just life or I don't know, just reaching out to people, I feel like overwhelmed and exhausted. Like I don't feel like doing that. And then I just kind of am like, all right, I'm not doing it. And then all of a sudden like I don't know. I'm just very glad and I feel like basically super long story short, I'm glad that I'm not having to reach out to people. People you realize your friends and all that. Again, my friends personally, I know my friends aren't reaching out to me like that because like they got things going on and they understand me as a human being. Like I need my space and that I'm always gonna come back and be like, oh hey, what's up guys? Or whoever, you know what I'm saying? And everything's gonna be normal. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people they become unnormal or whatever unnormal is. You know what I'm saying? Basically, I'm saying they freak out on their friends and all, and then they can't go back. And I'm just kind of like, yo, bro, give me a second. I need to breathe. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this. If you know me, I'm polyamorous, which is again another uh, conversation. So I be dating multiple people, having to like Osiris it up with three different types of personalities, and then not really have anybody to talk to about it, which is fine, but sometimes I guess I've been finding that my brain versus my body have been two totally different things, if that makes any sense at all. So, and I say that to say like my body has been reacting differently to what my mind is thinking, if that makes sense. So I will think in my brain everything is fine. Meanwhile, my body is like, bro, I'm tweaking. I'm overstimulated. What's going on, bro? You didn't even drink water today. Today you smoked 100 times. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, but in my brain, I'm like, I can handle this. You know, you're like, it's not for me. I mean, again, I don't want to like, I said the smoking thing, but it's not, I'm not feeling any type of way because of substance abuse. Like, I don't necessarily condone like hard drugs and all that stuff, but like people got to do what they got to do as long as you're safe and you know what you got to do. But anyway, back to what I'm talking about. My mind and my brain, I mean my I guess really whatever, my brain, my mind or whatever, and my body haven't been like going together lately. I've been finding a lot of stuff since I've turned 30. I mean, I guess it's been developing over the years or whatever, but this year, as I'm 30, I've been discovering a lot more things about myself and my body that maybe, I don't know, since I've been so like forward and like, for example, I can walk miles. You know what I'm saying? I can walk miles in one direction, but that's because I have to. I'm very big on being a survivalist, and I had to be a survivalist over the last couple of years of my life because I just had so many things going on that you know you don't really have a choice but to push forward. You know what I'm saying? That's it. All my creatives and whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like if you choose a certain lifestyle, you know you got to do what you got to do, and that's what I did. So anyway, I'm not even gonna keep this super long. I just kind of wanted to talk about where I was at mentally right now. Physically, I'm still out here, same spot. Thinking about moving pretty soon. I've kind of been getting rid of a lot of things in my closet, so I've been trying to get a little bit of money so I can get a car, maybe get like right now I have a suite or whatever apartment, and I'm trying to just maybe get a bigger space. I don't have a house, but I basically have a house out in California too. But I went there recently, and the peacefulness, because I don't really have neighbors. I have like donkeys and like bobcats and like stuff like that, like Ozark style stuff. But to make money, I have to be over here in the city or whatnot. But anyway, I went over there recently and I was just kind of like, wow, like now that I'm not trying to do the most in the world, I feel at peace over here in like the rural area versus like the city that I'm in right now. Whatever. My point is, this is where I'm at right now. This is why you ain't really see me. I've been trying to get everything back to basic, trying to unglamorize my life, I guess, and come back to basics since it's the start of my 30 to 40. I guess. You just need some new stuff. Anyway, this is the Lourde Under The Scope. I'm gonna definitely be having more episodes, especially since you see how chill it is. As long as my production doesn't take too much work, you'll be able to get a lot of episodes, and it doesn't really feel like it's a lot of work right now. So peace and love. I hope y'all make sure y'all had a great day. Make sure you look up some mental illnesses. Make sure you're reaching out to your friends. Your friends sometimes just want a hello, what's up, how are you? They don't need a whole conversation. They just want to make sure you know that they're alive. Like, subscribe, however you heard this, share this with a friend. I'll definitely be talking about some more mental illness things in the upcoming episodes or what have you. So peace out, y'all. Have a good one. You already know who it is, man. Osiris Lord, I'm here with another Lourde Under The Scope. You know what time it is. We here with episode number 2, but who is counting? Anyway, today's topic is gonna be the big 30. So if you know me, I turned 30 this year. I never really dreaded it. I was always a person that was like, age is just a number. It does not matter. Boy, was I wrong. After 25, I started being like, oh, I ain't young no more. Started getting at 30. I'm like, I need to fix everything. I need to do this, that, and the third before I'm 30. And guess what? I'm 30 and ain't shit friggin' change. Am I disappointed about that? A little bit, but too much disappointment and expectation anyway will lead to, excuse me, I guess that would lead to disappointment, too much expectation. But anyway, we fly out here, we make sure we do a little rugby, what I'm saying, with the little biz 8. But anyway, got the Van Gogh and the Hermes Apple Watch, talking that smack, keep it fly always. So, the Lord is here talking about the 30. What you think about it, huh? What did you think about turning 30? If you are 30, if you are nearing 30, or, you might be young, you might think in the future, when I'm 30, I want to do this. What do you think? Let me know. Put it down there. But as far as I know, or how I feel about being 30, now that it's here, and now that I've kind of just thought a little bit more about where I am in my life versus the internet telling me what 30 is, and people that are older than 30 and how they live their life. No, scratch all of that. Now is the time to utilize, depending on what situation. Doesn't even matter what situation you're in. You know what I'm saying? Utilize all the skills from your 20s. If you're not exactly where you want to be right now, utilize all the skills you learned in your 20s. Hopefully, you picked up a bunch of skills whether it be school or YouTube University, like me. I mean, I have been in school, blah, 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 but I'm saying a lot of the things I've learned, mental health, physical health, clothing, music, all of those things have mainly been on YouTube or just the internet overall. So now's the time to think about all the times you tried something and failed, or tried something and succeeded, maybe something that you were working on and you were making a lot of money, or this thing made you happy, right? And you do that, and you have your passive incomes, and you do the thing that makes you happy, and you do it well. It's okay. You do something, you stop doing it, you try something else, you think you want to do that, that doesn't necessarily work out, you come back to what you want to do. That's my personal thing. I learned a lot of things in my 20s. Now that I'm 30, it's lit. It's go time. As you can see, I'm not looking old. I'm not feeling old. I'm not living old. And it's lit. So why do I need to think about, or why do we, all of us, need to think about, when we're 30, it's over, blah, 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 kid or not, debt or not, it's not over. It's a brand new start. That's how I feel about it. But let me go check. There's a lot of people, or if you don't know, there are a lot of people who are in their, not even their prime, people who are really notable musicians, actors, actresses, whatever pronoun they go by, whatever word it is. But there's a lot of people, regardless, who didn't even start getting lit or popular, whatever word you want to use, they didn't even start making it until they were in their 30s. So I got a list right here. Some people, I'm not going to go down each person. I'm not going to be like, this person did this. Hopefully, I'm going to pick out the more popular names, or I'm going to read through them really fast. And you're going to be like, oh, wow, they didn't start doing things till they're 30. Yeah, exactly. Boom. So once you look down this list, first of all, I believe Oprah was like 31 or 32 when Oprah got lit. Man, look at Oprah now. Not that I necessarily care for Oprah. I don't dislike Oprah, but I'm just saying it's Oprah. So you can imagine where I'm going with what I'm saying with that. So anyway, so we got Stan Lee, 39, Alan Rickman, 42, Bob Ross, 41, Samuel L. Jackson, 46, Harrison Ford, 35, Steve Carell, 43. I mean, those are in their 40s. We're talking about the 30s, but hey, whatever. We got 2 Chainz. We got people like Benny the Butcher, West Side Gun, Conway the Machine. They've been rapping for a while, but they didn't really break out till their 30s, and they're literally influencing a lot of music and hip hop things right now. So, hey, that's one thing you can say. When then I was also looking up painters. So Van Gogh didn't even get lit till he's 27. I know that's not 30, but still that is later than one would think someone would get lit. We have him. Who else? Let's see. Oh, I said 2 Chainz already. Or if I didn't, 2 Chainz. But anyway, I'm not gonna. Those are just a list of people who got, pretty famous after the fact of 30. So if you're 30, if you don't really know what you're trying to do right now, maybe it's time for you to rebrand, just like me. I don't necessarily feel like I'm rebranding as far as like social media. I just mean rebrand yourself, reinvent yourself. Time to start over. New slate. Think about your priorities. Think about what you want to do. Think about, okay, this is the most important thing to me. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to, what's the word I can use? To just say, hey, none of this stuff worked out for me. I'm going to do this. Basically, brand spanking new. No one to judge you. You're grown. You're old enough now to do what you want. So That's kind of how I feel about being in my 30s. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to all the new things I'm going to try, all the new things I'm going to look forward to. There's just certain things right now going on with me personally and just like bodily. I can't necessarily do everything that I was doing before, the way I was. I can do it better. Like, I can run faster. I can mentally, it's all about your mind. So now that I can use my mind at this older state to do better things, I'm really looking forward to everything I can do. Like, I would never think that I would be able to do like rock climbing, mountain climbing, and just swimming and things like that. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I haven't done these things yet, but I'm just saying I'm mentally prepared. I've watched enough videos, like these things I've learned over time has gotten me here to be able to have a lot of confidence in myself that I can do a lot of things and just know that I'm my own person. So that's I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty exciting to me. That's really exciting to me. I'm really excited to just get it on, and get it going. So anyway, I'm not gonna drag it. I just kind of wanted to come here and talk about um, being 30 and saying that being 30 is not a bad thing. You should really look forward to it. And if you can, prepare, but don't stress out about a number. As long as your health and your mental health, physical health, and everything that you can work on is at its best tip top shape, I don't really see why turning 30, a number, is going to make you feel any type of way. So yeah, I hope you guys and girls and whatever pronoun you go by, always make that clear. Have a good day. Make sure you get really lit. Drink some water though. And when I say get lit, I mean read a book. Enjoy yourself. Work on your mental health. It's the Lourde Under The Scope. Have one. For me, I'm talking about a book again or a cup of water. You already know who it is. It's the Osiris Lord. Lourde Under The Scope. I walk in the spot with my bling on. I don't even know what that means. I mean, clearly that means I walk in the spot with my bling on. But I don't know where I got that from. Anyway, I'm getting my camera a little fixed up. You know what I'm saying? Got a little button up on today. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a low-ski. It's still a low-ski. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we up to episode number, what is this? Uno. Oh, we had the cero, so we had the uno, dos. This is number tres. You know what I'm saying? It's the third episode. Today, I decided we're going to talk about my routine, my new routine that I got going on. I mean, it's not really a new routine. My routine is more suggestive than it is a routine. Let me stop moving around the spot. It's more suggestive than it is an actual routine. Like, times I suggest myself to be done with things, time I suggest myself to start doing things. It's just kind of like, all right, at this time I'm gonna be doing this by this time, or I want to be done with this by this time. So yeah, I have a group of times that I suggest. I have first off, I have a 11 o'clock timer on my phone, and that is actually just to it's actually a daily planner time. So that's the time that I look in my daily planner, suggested to look in my daily planner, because I never do it. Because I don't really have that many things I need to do throughout the day. Because luckily for me, I don't really have that many responsibilities besides pay my rent. I know it sounds luxurious, and honestly, at times it is, but I need a routine so I don't get all like lazy and like grouchy. Not necessarily grouchy, but basically if I'm at home doing nothing all day, I just get really bored and or depressed, or like, so that's why often you'll see me like, I got a job, but then the day before that I sold something on eBay for like $1,000. So go figure, and that's my rent. So Anyway, my point is I like to have a routine for myself, because if I don't have a routine for myself, I kind of just get all willy wonk and wacky and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna share my routine with you guys. Typically, well, before, let's say, when I was a robot, I will wake up. I mean, it's still not bad to wake up at 6 a.m. every day, but my body would wake up at 6 a.m. every day because I was very hyper productive in my 20s. So I would always be like, I need to be up at this time in order to go do this, that, and the third, things I didn't really need to do. But regardless, we're talking about a routine and a schedule, whether we have to do something or not. So I'm just going to kind of go over my routine with you currently. I try to just wake up whenever my body feels like waking up, because I've been lacking sleep and I've been like really overstimulated lately. So I've been playing catch up. So I've been letting my body wake up whenever, and it's been waking up around like 9. Yeah, that's kind of late for me, but some people wake up later than that. So it is what it is. So I'll wake up around 9 a.m. I'll literally open my eyes, and then I won't touch my phone. Like, I'll just lay here for like 30 minutes, because I noticed that I get up and I jump up, and that's not necessarily the best thing anyway, for your body, I guess. I mean, you're kind of like shocking your body. You're just kind of like, okay, get up. Now, depending on your night, you might still be dizzy, you might still whatever. So it's kind of good to give your body at least, like, I would say 5-10 minutes. Again, I'm just kind of like letting my body play catch up over the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I allow my body at least 15 minutes before I'm like, I'm up now. So I give myself that, and then obviously I'll run to the bathroom, do what I gotta do in the bathroom, and then I'll just clean. I'll clean. Well, it depends. It depends. Sometimes I wake up and clean and then go to the bathroom. Depends, but I clean. I try to clean for, if not 15 minutes. I mean, typically 15 minutes, depending on how much you need to clean. I mean, I don't really ever need to clean too much in my house, but 15 minutes will turn to, and if you don't want to do 15 minutes, do 5. Just do 5 minutes. I promise you. You do. If you have 10 dishes, do 5 dishes. Just start at that. Next thing you know, tomorrow you'll be like, okay, I did 5 dishes yesterday, I'm gonna do 10 today. Oh, I'm gonna clean the bathroom. Oh, I'm gonna do these things. These are all things that I do for not necessarily only just to have my house to be clean, but it helps me with my mental health a lot. Just knowing and being able to have a clean house, or at least organized and manageable. It's not just like unnecessarily dirty, like, it's okay to have a messy and unorganized house, I guess, but it messes with my whole day if my house is messy, things are all over the place. I mean, in my room with my clothing and stuff like that, I mean, don't get me wrong, my area of my clothing is not necessarily too messy, but there are things like this like little bucket down here that has more shirts and stuff. So you can see like everything's pretty much hung up. But everything else in my room is pretty much just messed up the camera. Sorry though. But anyway, my point is I like to clean. I like to give myself that 15 minutes to clean every day. And that just helps me clear my mind, think about what I have to do, plan everything that I need to do for the day. So I like to do that. Then I like to get into my podcast or whatever type of content I'm making. This is my new schedule. Kind of just helps me be consistent with what I need to do. And my new podcast setup is fairly simple. If you saw my episode 00, or just like when I record music, I have a whole setup. It's just too much. Like, for what I want to do, I just want to talk to people. I don't necessarily want to have this, not right now anyway. I don't have a whole production studio, so I don't really feel like getting too crazy. So I always forget to turn that off. Anyway, I do my podcast, and after my podcast, this is like optional, because I don't know if a lot of you know, but I sell things on eBay. Just basically whatever things I need to get done in my real life. I like to get it done. I like to get all of it done before 12. So, like I said, I'll wake up fairly late, but if it's a day that I need to get something done, I'll wake up a little bit earlier or make sure I'm up on time so that I can have all my chores, errands, grocery shopping, post office, these types of things. I like to have all those things done before 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Um, I suggest if you're trying to do the same type of routine or schedule that you set a time that you like to get all your personal goals and errands and chores done. Because once you knock all those out throughout the day, like earlier in the day, you can literally, you'll feel good. I feel amazing when I'm done and I'm back in. Honestly, I'm usually back in my house by 12 o'clock. To be completely honest with you, 12 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock. I don't like to go outside too late, especially because where I live, it's so hot that like if you don't go out during the day, well, in the morning, you're just stuck with like 110-degree weather after like 12 o'clock. So I kind of don't have a choice. So anyway, I like to get my things done before then. And that allows me to feel good about myself. And if I slack off during the day, it's fine. I don't have to be like, dang, I meant to go to the post office, but I was here goofing off playing video games or watching anime. No, I feel good now that I'm watching anime. It's like a reward. It's like, okay, I went to the post office, I did my laundry, I went thrifting, I did all these things that I needed to do before some people even wake up. So that personally makes me feel good. I don't know about you guys, but that's definitely something you guys should incorporate into your day. So yeah, so I like to go do that. Then I'll come home with new inspiration. And again, this is my new thing. I'm currently trying to learn how to draw. I'm intentionally learning how to draw. I like to try to draw like in the style of like Greek mythology and things of that nature. I don't necessarily want to draw Greek mythology, but I want to learn how to draw in that style of that and like um ancient Egypt, hieroglyphs, these type of things, these kind of more like classical type of drawings so that I can reinvent blah 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 blah, one of those types of things. I just personally like classical things. So Greek mythology, you're cool in my book. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I come back home, I draw, and I'll watch a drawing video while I'm drawing because I'm trying to learn about anatomy and things like that while I'm trying to draw. And then I'll potentially want to, and the drawing is really learn something new that's physical. So I'm learning how to draw and I'm doing it like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, I'm really doing it way more, but I'm just telling you, you should try to do it for at least 15 minutes. So you can do it every day. You don't need to sit down every day and do an hour or two. I mean, that would be great, but I'm saying small things like learning how to draw. For me, at least, it's not a major thing. It's just something that I know would help me pretty much in my life overall. So I'm just drawing for about like 15 minutes, and I've been watching a lot of painter videos, like obviously Van Gogh, Monet, like Matisse, Picasso, like these types of people. Especially people like Francis Bacon. I like a lot of like dark art and a lot of dark things. So aside from just learning about different types of painting techniques, I'm learning a lot about like mental health, mental illness, just those types of things from creatives. And again, like I'm learning how to paint, and these things help me with creative things overall, structure, layering with clothing, all these types of things. So yeah, I like to watch a lot of videos about painters currently, and that's pretty much all the things that are necessary throughout my day. I mean, even drawing and videos about the painter, those things aren't necessary right now. Just the wake up, podcast, clean 15 minutes, and if any missions I have to go on, like post office, the post office is pretty much my job. So if I basically have to work, but I've been trying to make it where I don't just get up and just go to the post office. I've been trying to have like 2 or 3 days out the week versus having like going like frantically 5 days out the week sometimes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wake up typically from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'll try to lay there for 30 minutes. I'll go to the bathroom or I'll clean and then or mix it up, vice versa. I'll clean, then go to the bathroom, depending if I'm about to take another shower when I wake up. Then I'll podcast, go on a mission, done. Get home probably before 12, relax for the rest of the day. Now if I want to sleep literally all day, I won't feel bad because I literally did everything that was important to me. If I have schoolwork, I'll try to do that. I do schoolwork kind of at night. I don't know why. I feel like I'm really productive at night. It's quiet, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, after that, I just kind of watch videos all day and learn. I'm really big on like learning. Like even if it's you don't have to learn things you don't want to learn, basically. People think that you have to like learn things that you don't want to learn or boring things. No. You find a topic that you like and you learn about it. You like video games? What's the history of your favorite video game? Watch a walkthrough of a game that you love, that you may have missed a story. I do that a lot with Silent Hill. I do that a lot with Resident Evil. I do that a lot with like a lot of types of games. And they help me because besides the fact that I like the game, now I'm learning there is actually a storyline. I'm learning about like psychological stuff. I'm learning about philosophy. I'm learning about a lot of stuff just because I'm looking at the history of a game. Sometimes I look at the technical aspect of a video game, like things like that. Or if you don't want to learn about that, like that's my own personal experience. Fashion. What's the history of Bape? Like, what's the history of Nego? What's the history of, like, Versace? Who was the first person to do tie-dye? Like, how was tie-dye made? Like, things like that intrigue me the most. So, I tend to watch, like, a lot of educational videos, but also fun videos. I also watch a lot of top 10s about things that I have no clue about so that my brain is constantly working. I can't necessarily overstimulate myself with information versus like emotions and things like that. Like I know I say I get overstimulated, but I don't get overstimulated from learning. I love learning so much. So like I'll watch tops and stuff. Like I'll watch stuff about like the earth, games, spirituality. I'll watch like random icebergs. Those are like kind of my favorite things. I don't just sit and watch them all day, but like icebergs, creepypastas, those types of things really intrigue me. They make me really happy. So yeah, I'll just watch that and I'll try to learn something that I don't want to learn as well, but that's me. I find that when I learn something I don't want to learn, it opens me up to a lot of new things. So it doesn't necessarily mean something painful or like I'll learn about like gardening. I mean, I want to learn about gardening, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'll just learn about gardening or I learn also skills for the day. I mean, not for the day, for like my life. So like I'll learn how to do like something like canning. I'll learn how to do like some sort of construction or like how to start a fire with just wood or things like survival skills. Yeah. There's so many things you can learn that's interesting that you don't have to just sit and like watch stuff you don't want to learn, and you don't necessarily need to be in school to be learning all the time. But yeah, I'll learn that. And then that's typically, I mean, I don't really have a time after this. My next time frame is just typically like bedtime, like time where I would want to be in bed. But yeah, after I'm done with everything, I'll just kind of like learn some stuff. And while I'm learning some stuff, I might do some gaming or something, like on the computer, play like some nostalgic game or something of the nature. And whatever I want to do, you want to draw, you want to like make some clothes, you want to just lay there, you want to do whatever, spend your time, just utilize that time. And then I'll watch potentially some anime until it's bedtime. Which for me, I try to start winding. My suggested time for me to kind of start being in bed or aware that I will like to lay in bed is around 11 p.m. Towards 1 a.m. unless I have company or something like that. But basically, me if I don't, my mind is so like racy and like always trying to do something productive that it doesn't get tired. My body gets tired, but my mind doesn't get tired. So unless I tell my mind, look, it's time for me to like start going to sleep, or if I don't just go lay down and start acting like I'm tired, then I'll just stay up all night. So lately I've just been bringing my entertainment or just whatever I'm watching. I mean, I really have a TV, but my laptop, I'll just bring my laptop in my room, watch whatever I'm watching for a bit, and I'll probably be knocked out within the next 30 minutes. Where if I was just sitting on the couch, I would come up with something new. Like when I'm about to fall asleep, oh, it's time to smoke again. Oh, let me do this. Oh, I don't know, like something that I don't need to do just because there's more time in the day when I don't need to spend all that time in a day. But anyway, here's some tips that I typically do now to make my day mentally less taxing. I don't answer people in the morning, like as soon as I wake up, unless it's like emergency, or it's like my mother, or like somebody that I kind of need to answer. But honestly, like even with my mother, no disrespect at this point, I love her still, but I don't answer her immediately either. Most people that are messaging you are not necessarily looking, well, me anyway, me, because people know I'm not going to respond immediately. I used to respond immediately. Now it's like I don't respond immediately because I kind of feel like people don't even really want you to answer immediately anyway because of social anxiety. Some people, are down to have a conversation immediately, but some people are just want to say what they want to say, and then that's it. So I just answer people when I feel like it. And most people that I communicate with, we kind of have like, if it's not an actual verbal understanding, we have like a non-verbal understanding that, look, I'm going to potentially take hours to answer you, and or days, depending on who you are. Like my partner, sometimes we don't speak to each other for a day or two, and like that's it. I know that they're just living their best life, doing like, I don't know, outside stuff at our other house, just kind of like cleaning up, playing with the birds, and things that don't necessarily involve answering the phone and stuff like that. So, but then you have other homies that are just like, I'm always at work, things like that. So I don't expect people to answer me immediately when I text them, and I don't, vice versa. I said I like to mentally prepare for sleep. That's really important for me now, because if I don't mentally prepare for sleep, I don't go to sleep until like 3 a.m. and I'm burnt out, and then I'll wake up at like 7 a.m. So like I don't get it. I drink water throughout my day, especially when I get stressed out or overwhelmed, or lately I've just been like trying to stay understimulated versus overstimulated, because I'll like come to a conclusion in my head like, okay, can't be overstimulated no more. I can't just randomly be like, I want to bust out a whole album, or I want to bust out a whole collection of clothes, or just something that's super overstimulated. When I get those times, I like to sit back for a second. Well, right now anyway, because I'm not trying to do too much. When I get those times, I like to breathe quickly, like, then I'll just have some water, and then I won't be overstimulated. That's a thing that I do. That's something I'll talk about in another video or podcast, but that's a thing I like to do. I like to, whatever emotion I'm feeling, if I'm sad, happy, mad, whatever it is, I like to physically conjure it or find it in my body and just kind of be like, all right, I need to get rid of this sadness. So I'll literally picture it, like not in my up here or anything, but like just somewhere, and then I'll drink water, and then I'll just literally, it'll just go away after I drink water. Basically, I'm pretending that I'm swallowing the emotion that is disfavorable, if that makes sense, and that helps me to not be angry or blah blah blah. Then I like to burn incense throughout the day. and that's really good for me because the smells help me. I don't know if you guys burn incense, but burning incense is really good for you. Or just like if you don't want to burn incense in your spot, have like one of those aromatherapy things where it just like lets out essential oils and things like that. Those things are really good for you. I'll probably do another video on like different essential oils like lavender oil, tea tree oil, all the type of calming oils and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes throughout the day I take 10 minutes just for a non stimulating break. Like literally I'll just sit on the couch and just do something that doesn't involve like my phone, TV, noise, blah blah blah. Kind of just like a reset throughout the day. Like, all right, I'm overstimulated, or all right, like I don't know what to do, especially in those times where I don't know what to do throughout the day. I'll just literally just quiet or waterfall sounds, nature sounds, things like that. I find those things to be really helpful. My phone is literally always on silent since I was like 16 years old. So I don't know if that will help for you. It helps for me. I feel like that's one big reason that I'm not stressed out all day and stuff like that. Maybe that's the reason people don't talk to me because I don't respond fast. I don't really care, to be completely honest. And with that being said, my phone on silent, I like to just reply whenever I feel like it because I feel like as long as I'm being respectful and I'm answering in a timely manner to if it's something that requires my response, because you gotta think about it. Not everything requires a response, especially with iPhone these days. You could send somebody a thumbs up or something like that, or a heart, or a question mark, and that can be a whole response. Like it is a lazy response. Don't get me wrong, but like people don't necessarily care if you like respond. People more so want to know you acknowledge what they said. So I usually reply when I feel like it, but I'll acknowledge the fact that you said something, if that makes sense. So if you be like, yo, bro, I just saw the new vlog or podcast, it was dope. I mean, obviously I'd like to respond immediately, but depending on how I'm feeling or what I'm doing, I can't necessarily formulate an answer that I would like to give you besides like, thank you. And unless that's the actual answer that I want to give you, then I'm going to take time and then I'm going to get to you. So I'm going to hit you with the thumbs up or the love, and then I'm going to answer you when I can, or I'm going to actually let you know, like, yo, thank you. I got to say blah, 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 but I'm busy right now. That's another thing we need to talk about. Telling people I heard or saw what you said. I can't answer you immediately, but I will get back to you. Like when you're driving and people are calling you and texting you and it's like a quick response, like, yo, I can't answer you right now, I'm driving, but I'll get back to you when I'm done driving. People need to do that because people will get freaked out, not answer you, then wonder why you don't want to talk to them, blah, blah, blah. I don't necessarily have that problem, but I'm just saying a lot of people I know or just see on the internet, they have that issue. And I don't have that issue because I'm like brutally honest and like straightforward to the fact that like I lose friends because of it. And I confront people, but not necessarily confront, but like I'll be like, bro, why did you do that? Like right there, not necessarily right there and then, but like if somebody does something I don't like, especially morally or like questionably, like value questionable, I'm gonna pull them to the side and talk to them. But anyway, that's not this conversation. So yeah, this is kind of like why it's important to have a routine. I know I kind of said a lot of stuff, but I'll just outline it again, kind of like how my day is. It sounds super structured, but it's all the times are suggestions. So again, wake up. Lately been waking up late, but whatever time you want to wake up, I suggest somewhere in the area between like 6 and 8 if you're not like having to do something. So excuse me. I wake up around 8 or 9, let's say. So I wake up around 8 or 9, relax till like 9:30, potentially 10 depending on how tired I am. Get up, Go to the bathroom. Then I'll clean for about 15 minutes unless I just go crazy. I mean, I love cleaning. It really helps me with my stress and stuff like that. So I'll clean, let's just say until like 11, okay, 9 to 10, whatever. Let's just 9 to 10, sleepy, bathroom, 10 to 10:30, cleaning. 10:30 to like 11, I'll say like podcasting. And then from 11 to 12, I'll typically, like, if I have to go to the post office or run errands, I'll just go do that. So I'll typically be back home by like 12, 1. Post office is not that far. 12, 1. And then from there, it's just kind of like whatever I want to do, unless I have something that needs my attention, which typically I don't. Yeah, I just do whatever I want until literally night, like 11 p.m. The whole point is not feeling. The whole point of the routine for me is to not feel bad when I slack off. So that is why I try to do it. I guess the real schedule is all before 12, 1 o'clock. Because then everything else I do is curricular. Yeah. So anyhow, I'm not going to keep rambling about that. You should definitely create some sort of suggestive routine. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call this. You should definitely create some sort of suggestive routine for your day. Try to stick to it. Forms habits. Only thing I can say is drink water throughout your day. It is extremely hot outside all the time, and even when it's not hot outside, you need to be drinking some water. Have some fruits. You know what I'm saying? Gotta go make sure you work on your mental health and all these types of things. So anyhow, this episode is sponsored by The Lord Loves You. I don't know why it is, but it is. And shout out to the Crack in the 80s pod. Shout out to all my homies. And yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. It's a great year. Make sure you succeed and make sure you do everything that you want to, man. Make sure you don't overthink, don't overstimulate unless, you know, you want to overstimulate yourself and you can handle it. But yeah, the Lord loves you. This is the Lourde Under The Scope. Signing out, episode 3. Make sure y'all have a great day. Peace. Y'all already know who it is. Osiris Lourde Under The Scope. And I got another banger. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking about this because, you know, everybody has their style of helping people out. So I came across the topic of enabling and empowering. So definitely stay here right now. Don't go nowhere. I mean, I don't have no intro or nothing, but, you know, I'm just getting right into the topic. So anyway, when we think of enabling and empowerment, what comes to mind? To me personally, enabling is like if you have like a homie or something that's like never has bread, never has any money, but they always trying to like buy something or like smoke something that's unnecessary, and you just keep giving them bread and they never like actually like try to go and get a job. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, Osiris is always going to give me money. That's enabling. You know what I'm saying? Now, empowering somebody would be me being like, oh, you trying to smoke? I'm going to spot you this bread this time, but you're going to get a job. And you'll just straight up tell them, like, I'm never giving you money again. You know what I'm saying? Like, that type of thing. Something always beeps in my thing. So anyway, enabling versus empowering is a very not necessarily touchy topic, because, you know, it is enabling versus empowerment. One is bad and one is good, but it depends on who you are. So anyway, I'm going to read you guys what enabling actually is. Enable refers to the positive act of helping someone accomplish something that could not be done alone. But enabling also refers to the act of helping someone in such a way that rather than solving a problem, it is in fact being perpetuated. So basically, there's levels of, you guys are learning with me. There's levels of being an enabler. Anyway, so enabling somebody is basically like if you have a fiend you know what I'm saying, and you just always giving them money, and they never want to actually get better. They just want to keep asking you for money. Where empowering them is being like, nah, it's over for that. We about to go get you a job. I'm about to provide you with everything you need so you can afford your own habit type of thing. So anyhow, I'm going to go into some stuff really quickly that I see. Oh, okay, boom, here we go. So we got healthline.com says the term enabler generally describes someone whose behavior allows a loved one to continue self-destructive patterns of behavior. This term can be stigmatizing since there is often negative judgment attached to it. However, many people who enable others don't do so intentionally. They may not even realize what they're doing. So basically, if somebody's, like I said, if somebody's always bailing you out and they're like, oh no, it's okay, you know what I'm saying? That's an enabler. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with being an enabler, in my opinion, as long as you know what you're doing and it doesn't affect that person's growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to let someone touch the stove sometimes so they know not to touch the stove. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, if allowing somebody like grandmas are usually enablers. You know what I'm saying? Grandmas are usually the biggest enablers. They're always like, oh no, don't let blah blah blah. I don't know why that's my granny voice, because my granny don't sound nothing like that. My granny be like, oh no, man, I make it for him. Him just a child, you know, like just kind of like, bruh, I'm 30. Let me make my food. I don't even like it like that no more. You know what I'm saying? I love you, granny. But yeah, empowering someone doesn't mean solving or covering up problems. Rather, when you empower someone, you do one or more of the following to help them succeed or change on their own. Give them tools, like I said, help them access resources, and teach them skills. So basically, like I said, if instead of giving somebody money all the time, you're going to teach them how to make money. You're going to potentially offer them a job. You're going to say, you know what, I can't give you money, but if I need help with this, you know what I'm saying, you can barter. And that's how I usually do it. If somebody is asking me for money, I just usually I'd be like, I can't give you no money, but I could do this for you. You know, like, I offer a resource or a skill so that they can make money. I mean, if my friend asks me for $20, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to give them $20, or depending on who, if it's $100, I'll give them $100, $500, whatever the case is. Don't ask me for no money, because I'm going to say no. But I'm just letting you know, depending on the type of person you are or who you are, I'll give you money. You know, I don't necessarily feel like I'm enabling somebody if they're my friend and I know they like really need the money. Even if it's for something like, bro, I'm short on money. Can you loan me money so I can go cop bud until the weekend or whatever? You know what I'm saying? This is a different conversation, but bud is a medicine to me anyway. So if somebody who's usually taking their medicine every day or all week, I know that if they don't have their medicine for a couple days or a week, it's going to be pretty bad, especially if they're working or if they have a job or something like that. Anyway, I'm going off topic. So enabling often describes situations involving addiction or substance misuse, but this isn't always the case. Enabling can describe any situation where you help by attempting to hide problems or make them go away. This help is ultimately not helpful, as it usually doesn't make a problem entirely go away. It often makes it worse, since an enabled person has less motivation to make changes if they keep getting help that reduces their need to make change. Boom. That's exactly what an enabler is. Basically, I'm going to coddle you and make you feel like everything's okay, to the point where when it's time for you to go do your own thing, you're clueless and you're like, wow, I have no idea how to do any of this thing. My feelings are hurt, or like, you know, like things like that you can't understand or process. It's like when people become adults and they move out their house and they don't know how to cook. You know, like things like that. I mean, that is, I guess the word would be subjective to like how you grew up, because some people just are blessed that they don't have to cook, and stuff like that. I mean, I still feel like that's enabling, but like sometimes people don't have to cook till they grow up. It be like that. You watch it in the movies. You know what I'm saying? You got your pharaohs and all that stuff. They leave the crib. They don't even be what to do and all that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm gonna read off a couple of signs or characteristics of an enabler. Ignoring or tolerating problematic behavior. An example they have of this is, say your partner struggles with alcohol misuse. They say they haven't been drinking, but you find a receipt in the bathroom trash for a liquor store one night. The next night, you find a receipt for a bar in your neighborhood. Instead of asking them about the receipts, you decide not to press the issue. Total enabling. Providing financial assistance. That's usually the biggest enabler, in my opinion. It usually has to do with either drugs or it has to do with money. Example of this behavior. Your adult child struggles to manage their money and never has enough to pay their rent. Helping them out each month won't teach them how to manage their money. Instead, they may become dependent on you. Now, I feel like this definitely is a perfect example, but if you're listening, I don't want you to think that if you give them money a couple of times when they're trying to get on their feet that you're enabling them. You're not really enabling them. There's a difference between enabling and starting, like I said. Covering for them or making excuses. I'm not going to read all the examples, but this is a good example for covering for them and making excuses. You might call your partner's work to say they're sick when they're hungover or blackout drunk. Or you may call your child's school with an excuse when they haven't completed a term project or studied for an important exam. Your actions may seem to help in the moment. They keep your partner from facing a reprimand or even losing their job and source of income. They prevent your child from experiencing academic consequences that could affect their future. But your actions can give your loved one the message that there's nothing wrong with their behavior, that you'll keep covering for them. Yeah. I know a lot of parents that did that. I know a lot of people whose lover or even just, again, their parents were just calling their jobs, calling school, or enabling, definitely with parents with basically doing children's homework for them their entire growing up, elementary life and shit. So that never happened with me. I don't think that happened with me. I did my homework. I'm just saying I know plenty of people that do their kids' homework for their whole life. And that's just a thing that parents do. You know what I'm saying? It's not one specific anyway. Avoiding the issue, brushing things off, denying the problem, sacrificing or struggling to recognize your own needs, missing out on things you want or need for yourself because you're so involved with taking care of a loved one can also be a sign you're enabling that person. Do you struggle financially after giving your loved one money? Do you lack time for your work, self-care, or other relationships since you're doing more at home? Sometimes we want to make sacrifices for the people we care about. This doesn't always mean you're enabling someone. The reason you're letting your needs go unmet matters. It's certainly important to take care of yourself first, especially when taking care of a sick loved one, but you may not mind missing out on some of your typical activities for several days or a few weeks. But if you're consistently struggling to get things done or feel worn down by your attempts to take care of a loved one, it may help to consider your reasons for helping and the effect they're having on your loved one. Does your sacrifice allow their behavior to continue? So basically, you struggling to meet this other person's needs. They probably don't even care, to be honest, but that's a whole different topic. Because if somebody is watching you just struggle and they're just sitting back, then you need to think about your position and your role in this person's life. Next one is not following through on consequences, not maintaining your stated boundaries. I'll read that one. Healthy boundaries are important. Again, this is from healthline.com. Healthy boundaries are important in any relationship. Some boundaries you might express to a loved one experiencing addiction, abuse, or another concern might include, these are examples. I don't want to be around when you're shouting, so I'll only listen when you talk calmly. I don't feel comfortable having sex if you've been drinking. I don't want to hang out when you've been doing drugs, so please don't come over when you're high. If you or your loved one crosses a boundary you've expressed and there are no consequences, they might keep crossing that boundary. Basically, if you don't talk up for yourself, this person just gonna keep running your life. Next one is feeling resentment. When a pattern of enabling characterizes a relationship, it's fairly common for resentment or feelings of anger and disappointment to develop. Your resentment may be directed more toward your loved one, toward the situation, both, or even yourself. You might feel hurt and angry about spending so much time trying to help someone who doesn't seem to appreciate you. You may feel obligated to continue helping even when you don't want to. Resentment can damage your emotional well-being, but it can also help you realize the situation may not be healthy. Yeah. You need to just bring attention to the issue, encourage them to get help. That's empowering them. Set your boundaries, and remember, it's okay to say no. You know, that's another thing about being an enabler. I won't go deep into the topic as far as the mindset of an enabler. But typically, enablers just don't know how to say no, which is pretty unfortunate, honestly. But yeah, so those are mainly how enabling is. Empowerment is a really strong thing, and it takes a really strong person to empower someone who needs to be empowered instead of enabling them, because it takes a lot of discipline and mental strength, in my opinion, because you can, especially if you're in a position to help. Because if you're in a position to help, you might just be like, here's the money, or here's whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, you know what, I'm going to go with, here's a list of places you can go to try to find a job. Here's a list of things to earn extra income, or just kind of like whatever resources and tools in general to provide for them. I'm sorry, guys. My camera's acting a little wonky, so that's why I'm kind of speaking a little weird. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so basically empowering somebody, I'm all about empowerment. I'm all about telling people no. I'm all about telling people you can do it. I'm all about telling people straight up what they need. Not necessarily what they need, because I don't necessarily know what they need, but if I can assess the situation and help as much as I can, I will do that. So it's very important for you to have people around you who empower you and make you feel tip top and let you know that you can do whatever you need to do, provide you with what you need to get. And that's pretty much it. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I really thought that I was going to talk longer on this topic, but just enabling somebody versus empowerment, I'm not going to keep this going too long. So enabling somebody is basically just like giving into them and just meeting their needs whenever their needs need to be met, and they don't go about fixing or solving the issue that, you know, they need your help with so consistently. Where empowering somebody is providing them with the tools that they need, providing them with resources, providing them with just all the type of help that they need to succeed. So yeah, that is another banger today, just kind of on mental health and just friends, relationships, that type of thing. Consistent theme you can see that I have here. I will definitely be getting into some more fun stuff, some more outgoing and expressive stuff versus what I'm talking about now. But this is season 00. I'm just kind of laying the backbone. Anyway, Lourde Under The Scope. The Lord loves you. This is episode 4. This was about empowerment versus enabling. And hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace. Listen here, man. Say, man. It's the Lourde Under The Scope. You already know who it is, Osiris Lord. Here's a fun fact for the day. This is the second time I'm recording this because my first video
got corrupted. Somehow I did something with like the photo booth and all of that technical stuff. I don't be knowing. You move one thing on a Mac, everything's destroyed. You know what I'm saying? You delete one of your old songs, your whole computer get destroyed. But anyway, today's topic I thought was interesting. It's something that I personally feel like if you work on this, and it doesn't even, well, I guess it's different for everybody, but if you work on this, you can change your whole life in a matter of one conversation. And what I'm talking about in particular is perspective taking. Now, a lot of people are good with understanding other people's perspective, and then a lot of people are they just miss everything. Like they go down this whole thing. You said, I like to cross the street. They go down this whole thing like, I like to cross the street too. Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes, like, okay, I'll get on a more serious note. Somebody might say, hey, I don't like to eat cheese, and you might be like, cheese is good for you. You need to eat cheese. Eat the cheese right now, or I won't talk to you ever again. Obviously, that's extreme, but you also need to understand that person's perspective. They may have said, I don't like to eat cheese, but you got to understand why they don't like to eat cheese. It might hurt their stomach. They may be allergic to cheese. You just need to understand why that person said they don't like cheese or why they don't like cheese. That's it. You just got to accept the fact. So that's basically what I'm going to be talking about today, because a lot of people, they don't think before they speak, or they don't listen to and understand what someone's saying when they say it to them. They just talk to talk sometimes, even just hear themselves. And yeah, by the way, I know you see the dual action horses. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's the only reason I had to redo the video, you know what I'm saying? Because it had the dual action horses and I needed y'all to see that. Anyway, what is perspective taking? It has been defined as the ability to understand how a situation appears to another person and how that person is reacting cognitively and emotionally to the situation. So in other words, this is from ampcreative.com, by the way. In other words, it's the ability to put ourselves in the place of someone else while recognizing their point of view, experience, and beliefs. This recognition creates the basis of understanding between people. There is no way to perfectly take the perspective of another individual. However, the conscious attempt to understand another's point of view can build new neural pathways, creating real learning and reshape interactions. So basically, what they're saying is, if you understand someone else, you can basically make your life better. Like you can literally change your entire life, what kind of jobs you get, what type of people you meet, what type of opportunities are open to you, your love life, these types of things. Because most of the time people are just kind of like I said, they're just talking to talk. And that's why a lot of relationships get ruined really easily too. That's how I feel, because you have one partner just talking and talking, and the other partner is listening. Yeah, I'm paying attention, but I'm not actually understanding or seeing your perspective. So when you're talking to somebody, or you know what, when someone's talking to you, I'll just have my own like fake conversation. Someone's talking to me and I'm telling them, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. And they're just kind of like trying to make me do something that makes me uncomfortable, but they're not really thinking past the point of, okay, it's going to make them uncomfortable, but this is good for them. That's a whole different story. That's not good. But for the sake of this story, we'll keep it simple. They're like, you know what? Just do it. It's fine. But when you tell them, hey, this makes me uncomfortable because it's embarrassing, or whatever reason it is, I just don't want to do it. Like I'm just embarrassed to do that. Now they understand because maybe that person doesn't get embarrassed, you know? So maybe that person isn't a person that gets embarrassed for certain things that you might get embarrassed for. And they don't understand why you don't want to do certain things that, you know, potentially may cause embarrassment, especially because they're fine with embarrassment. So basically, I'm just saying, if you explain to somebody, hey, this, I don't like doing this because of this. Now they understand your perspective and they'll take that with them, as opposed to you just constantly saying, no, I don't want to do it, especially if you have a partner that is okay with you just saying no, you know? But most of the time, they might be in their head like, this person always says no, this is boring, blah, 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 but they don't understand your perspective. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have a partner that does understand your perspective or take time to understand your perspective, then that's amazing. But I do think that this is something that even couples can sit down and watch. If not this video or podcast that you're listening to, you should definitely sit down and watch some videos about perspective taking, because man, that will change your life. So here's a list of things why perspective taking is so important. 1, it counteracts expressions of bias. 2, decreases implicit bias. 3, it reduces the expression and accessibility of social stereotypes. 4, it increases the positivity of group-based judgments. 5, decreases in-group favoritism. 6, increases team creativity. It stabilizes marriages and relationships and improves conflict resolution. That's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing I personally feel like for perspective taking. You'll have less conflicts 100%. I'm going to make a separate video of how I think, at least for me, how I speak to people and what I'm thinking when I speak to people, and why I feel like I usually get a lot of people opening up to me, feeling comfortable talking to me, even just off the first hour of them meeting me. You know, I've had like relationships, just like friendships, you know, like regular platonic, just homies, whatever, homegirls, where it's like they just met me and they feel comfortable telling me like their deepest, darkest secrets, and I'm just here like, bruh, I'm just trying to smoke right now. I don't know why you're telling me all of this, but I'm listening. So, and also it creates successful leaders, you know? Here's a good example. So when, as far as like successful leaders, you want somebody at your job to listen to you, like your manager. For me, why I don't really like working jobs is because I typically feel like a lot of managers these days, they don't listen to people, or at least they listen, but they still impose their rule set or however they think, because they think that's the most efficient way, which is fine. But I want to know that you actually understood what I said. If I'm saying my back hurts because this is not real, but I'm saying my back hurts because you have me lifting boxes off the floor when there's, I don't know, tables over there that the boxes can just go on from the get-go off the truck. You should listen to that and acknowledge the fact my back hurts, or that this method may be better for everyone on the whole because this method doesn't work. That's an old method where in new times that doesn't work. So you might bring that case up to somebody and they might say no, but they don't understand your perspective. They're just thinking like you're being lazy. You don't want to pick the box up off the floor, because they don't have to do that. So they're not understanding your perspective. And unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of people who have issues and things like that, they think that these people are mind readers. So they'll be sitting there with this issue, upset, thinking that we're going to randomly be like, oh, Osiris looks upset that he's picking the box up off the floor. How am I supposed to know? How's your manager or whoever is supposed to know that you feel like you're not being understood, heard, or whatever when you're not talking up? That's a whole different story. But anyway, just to kind of round things off, because I don't really think that perspective taking is a topic I need to really talk extremely long about. I'll just end it with saying my take on perspective. That's funny. my take on perspective taking is that if you take the moment to understand someone, even if you don't necessarily understand what they're saying, here's a big tip. I'm gonna talk about this in another video, but here's a big tip. When someone speaks and you don't understand or you're confused, especially in situations where it's a serious conversation, if somebody says something, you should ask them, hey, is this what you mean when you say this? You know, you don't want to just assume, you don't want to just give an answer based off what they said, because you could completely miss the perspective they're even coming from. I've had this go on in a lot of relationships that I've had, and it taught me a lot about myself and a lot about other people. So once I understood that I personally need to stop, listen for a second, understand and process. And if I'm confused, I'll read, did you mean this? Oh, you didn't mean that? I'm glad I asked that because I thought you meant it like this. And when I thought you meant it like this, I was thinking this way as opposed to this way. You know, like it could be something like a funny joke that you mistook, or, you know, of just a funny joke. Like, yeah, you know? So anyway, I'm just trying to break it down to easiest as possible. I think that skill that I just gave you right there is the secret. And if you take that secret with you and just acknowledge it and just work on, it's really just people skills and understanding people and just realistically how conversations should go. You don't have to agree with what someone's saying. You can listen to them, understand what they're saying, and still disagree. You know, it's like, this is random, but like half full glass and half empty, or whatever, however that thing goes. You know, like you could be like, I view it as half full. I mean, ultimately it's the same fact. Yes, you know what, basically, yes, it's the same fact. We're both agreeing that there is something in this cup making it either half full or half empty. Now, like I said, you can ask that person like, hey, like, why do you view it half full? And they might say something. Even though you don't agree, now you have that perspective of why this person thinks like that, or, you know, why a bunch of people may think this way, you know? And now in your life, you can start formulating answers based on that perspective as well as yours, which is really important. So perspective taking, super important, man. Super important, for real. So this is the Lourde Under the Scope, episode number 5. I hope you enjoyed that, and make sure you subscribe, like, or share this podcast, whether you're watching the video or you're listening to it. Share it with somebody, because everyone needs a little advice sometimes, and these little 10-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute videos that I make are based off me watching hours of videos over my life. So I'm just giving you the little squeeze. So Lourde Under the Scope, episode 5. Peace. Don't even know motherfucking yo, mental health champion. You already know who it is. It's Osiris Lourde. I'm back with Lourde Under the Scope. And today I got something I've been thinking about, something that came up in my past, that I met somebody and she was like, oh, you know, I'm depressed, but, you know, I'm highly functioning. So from that day, I never knew that that existed. Well, till then. Anyway, my point is, it's Osiris Lourde Under the Scope. I'm going to talk about, specifically, I want to talk about PDD, which is persistent depressive disorder, aka highly functioning depression. But first, you need to know what depression is, right? People have a general idea of what depression is, and they just kind of think being depressed is sad. Not necessarily. Well, people think being depressed is being sad, and it's typically like, if you're just sad face and all that stuff all day, that's a sign of someone being depressed, which potentially is, but there are people that have PDD, aka highly functioning depression. So anyway, we're going to start off with depression, and depression is classified as a mood disorder. It may be described as feelings of sadness, loss, or anger that interfere with a person's everyday activities. Though depression and grief share some features, depression is different from grief felt after losing a loved one or sadness felt after a traumatic life event. Depression usually involves self-loathing. That's like, when you're like, oh, moping around in the house and stuff like that, or a loss of self-esteem, while grief typically does not. So they're basically saying like it's different from, if somebody dies and, you get that type of sadness, like that can definitely lead into depression, somebody, dying. That can lead into depression, but it's not the same as I'm sad right now or potentially for a week because somebody passed or this thing happened. So in grief, positive emotions and happy memories of the deceased typically accompany feelings of emotional pain. In major depressive disorders, the feelings of sadness are constant. People experience depression in different ways. It may interfere with your daily work, resulting in lost time and lower productivity. It can also influence relationships and some chronic health conditions. This is from healthline.com, by the way. So that's what depression is. And, that's not necessarily typical, but, people typically are like, oh, this person acts like this, they're depressed. But there are people like myself who I think, again, everything that I'm not a doctor and I don't want you to diagnose yourself based off of what I say. So I do want to say that. I need to start saying that in my videos. I'm not a doctor. I'm not suggesting you do any of these. Well, it's my opinion. Anyway, you get the point. So anyway, there are people like me who have PDD, and that's persistent depressive disorder, or it's called dysthymia. I'm assuming that's it. dysthymia. So what is persistent depressive disorder? Persistent depressive disorder, PDD, I'll just refer to it as PDD, is a form of chronic depression. The term combines two earlier diagnoses, dysthymia and chronic major depressive disorder. Like other types of depression, people with PDD may experience feelings or deep sadness and hopelessness. While these symptoms are present in all forms of depression, in PDD, they may persist for many years. So basically, without getting further, some people say that it's mild depression. It's like a form of depression that, like, yeah, you're depressed, but you can still get up in the morning and go to work. Now, how much energy is going to take you to get up in the morning and how much energy is going to take you to get to work, and when you actually get to work, how you're going to feel when you work, that is kind of what they're talking about. So someone with depression, in my opinion, from what I've experienced, will typically be like not trying to get out of bed. Oh, I don't want to go to work, blah, blah, blah. But then someone with PDD might be like, oh, I don't want to go to work. But they'll get up and go to work. But they'll be depressed, maybe have no energy, any of that type of stuff when they actually get to work. So that's kind of what PDD is. And symptoms of PDD, the symptoms of PDD are similar to those of depression. However, the key difference is that PDD is chronic, with symptoms occurring on most days for at least 2 years. Many doctors use the symptoms listed in a diagnostic. Okay, I'm just going to skip to the DSM-5, but it's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So that's the DSM-5. So the PDD symptoms listed in DSM-5 include depression almost every day for most of the day, having a poor appetite or overeating, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, low energy or fatigue. You see my face as I'm reading all these things. Low energy or fatigue, low self-esteem. I definitely don't have that. Poor concentration or difficulty making decisions. I don't really have difficulty making decisions or poor concentration, and feelings of hopelessness. So obviously you don't have to have all of these in order to potentially be someone with PDD. You can have traits of it. You can have a couple of them. I really find that just knowing that these things exist help, whether you have it or not. You know what I mean? So yeah, the cause of PDD isn't known. I mean, I really feel like PDD and depression, they're just one and the same, except one person can manage to get up and go do things, but they'll be depressed the whole time they pretty much do it. Yeah, I mean, they have therapy. It's similar to depression. So the means that you would take with depression, in my opinion, is what you would take with PDD. Long-term outlook for people. Since PDD is a chronic condition, some people may experience symptoms for many years. However, identifying symptoms and seeking help is a crucial first step to improving the long-term outlook for people with PDD. Research shows that a combination of psychotherapy and medication programs can be effective in treating PDD symptoms and preventing future relapses. Yeah. So PDD, or highly functioning depression, typically just means someone has mild depression and they can potentially do more work, or at least manage to budge and go do certain things that another person wouldn't be able to. But I'm just going to talk about a couple other things that, again, that was from healthline.com. So I'm just going to talk about a couple things that I feel like happens to people who have PDD or things like that. So like I said before, you might be able to get to work, but you're going to be at work. You're going to have no energy. You might have like random outbursts. You might be working. For me, I think that I get super irritable. I don't get mad. I don't get sometimes I have rage, but it's not rage where it's like I want to destroy things. Sometimes I just get randomly angry for like no reason, and I just have to work on that in my head. Supposedly that's something that people with PDD have. I'm sure people with depression have that as well. I don't really get sad. Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily rant too long. I just kind of wanted to point out signs of PDD and just make people aware of what PDD was, because it's been something on my brain for a while. It's probably literally in my brain, because I can get up and work and go do a bunch of stuff, but sometimes while I'm doing it, I just get so overwhelmed or like annoyed or irritated, but I know that I have to do certain things, and for other people on the outside, it looks like, I have pants on, everyone. So, from the outside looking in, everybody that's just looking in, looking at me or looking at some of their idols or mentors and stuff like that, they're like, oh man, I wish I could be like that. Most of the time, a lot of those people are depressed, or they're highly functioning depressed people, or like there's other things like highly functioning anxiety. I actually just learned about that as I was looking into PDD. So those are something I'll definitely look into, because I find myself to be highly functioning, but sometimes I'm just like, I can't handle this right now. This is too much for me, or whatever. So that's why it's really good to have a support system, and I'm not saying have a bunch of quote unquote normies or was it neurotypical? I have to talk about that word soon. I'm not saying have a bunch of neurotypical people around you. I'm just saying have a good support system for people who know, like, okay, Osiris is kind of irritated right now. I'm going to either not bother him, or I'm just going to try to help him out so he's not all like angry and stuff like that. But yeah, PDD, Osiris Lord, the Lord's gift shop. That's something else. The Lord loves you. PDD, dysthymia, or whatever. Definitely suggest you look into it, because you might be like, well, I don't think I'm depressed because I can do such and such and do all these things, but you randomly have random outbursts sometimes. So definitely look into if you have PDD, dysthymia, or persistent depression. Oh man, I already forgot. PDD. All right, Osiris Lord, the Lord loves you. Episode 6. Have a good day. Love y'all.
Where's Ronnie Fig? I need size 9 in every pair. Have my troops in all white boots. Fixing my motherfucking hair. Is he the rugby? Scat it.
You already know who it is. It's Osiris Lord. I'm here, man. We here a little late today. It was a weird day with technology. You know, I'm always complaining about the technology and stuff. My Wi-Fi is acting crazy, so now I'm having to record it right now with the Logic. No Discord, how I usually do. Anyway, like I said, it's a little later today. I hit my homies up at Cracking the 80s. Shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? I asked them, yo, what y'all think I should talk about? And they said, well, we all agreed on that we want to talk about me. We're going to talk about building respect. I know, the anticipation, right? You're like, oh, what was he going to talk about? But anyway, I feel like this is going to be a two-parter. I don't want to make this one very long because I feel like there are ways for people to go about gaining respect from others and, you know, showing respect, blah, blah, blah. There's just basically a lot because there's people who are outgoing and don't mind, you know, building their confidence, talking in conversations, or people who just normally talk and may not necessarily be as confident, you know. And then you have people who don't necessarily speak at all or wouldn't necessarily want to interrupt the conversation, and they also need to know how to be more confident. So anyway, that being said, this might be a two-pointer. It's actually going to be a three-pointer swisher, you know what I'm saying? Swish. But anyway, it might be a two-parter. So I'm just gonna go down, you know, a couple things or reasons why I feel like somebody would want some respect, you know? Like, why would you want to gain more respect or whatever? Anyhow, gaining more respect can help you in life, kind of like what we talked about in the other video. We can get better jobs, you can just basically have better conversations, relationships, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, you just want to be respected, and that will help you with your confidence. Boom. Cool. So anyway, I personally think that these are some tips and some things that you can improve on, or at least things that help me gain more respect from people. I'll actually list off a couple of superficial things that I feel like will help you if, you know, you just kind of want to. It's not even really superficial. I mean, not to me anyway. It's just like look good, or at least like look well kept. You know, you can be grungy, but you don't have to look dirty. You know, you can definitely be grungy and not look dirty, smell bad. Smelling bad is definitely one way to make sure people don't respect you. If you constantly smell bad, oh my gosh. If you smell like underarms, genitals, you know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff, you're asking to be disrespected, honestly. You're gonna have people looking at you all crazy. So those are kind of the things, like dress better. That's why I kind of like always wear a collared shirt in these videos, or at least like Ralph Lauren, because even though I have all these other crazy things, I guess it's kind of like a universal language, you know, not necessarily just the, you know, Ralph Lauren. I'm just saying in general, if you have a universal language that everybody can speak or understand, that you can have common grounds with people on, then that's a good start. I'm not going to say they're going to respect you, because they can still not respect you, but they at least be like, okay, well, this person is looks nice, or at least doesn't look bad or smell bad. So those are kind of superficial things. So besides that, I think number one is having respect for yourself. Because if you don't have respect for yourself, no one's going to have respect for you. Right? Think about it. If people come around you all the time and they're kind of like, they look not necessarily weak, but, you know, they're kind of like timid and all of these things, they may not necessarily seem as confident or like they have a lot of respect for themselves. So if my video's lagging, I apologize. Hopefully the audio is working. I don't want to cut the video off and do it again and again. If you're listening to the audio, don't even mind what I'm saying right now. Okay, so my computer just overloaded. So I guess, oh man, I'm not even going to edit that out. I want you to see, like, literally. sometimes things are just stressful and they don't go how you want to go. So anyway, I'm going to continue with the self-respect because I have enough respect for myself to continue going, you know? And I feel like that shows I have confidence in myself and I believe in myself. So, like I said, having self-respect and at least in some sort of confidence in yourself will definitely help you in the long run. And next thing I think is setting boundaries. I think setting boundaries is so underrated because when you don't set boundaries and stuff like that, I feel like besides the fact that people walk all over you, people always want to ask you for like favors. People always want to use you for things. People like always want you to drive them places. I'm trying to give examples now, you know. People want you to drive them places all the time, and since you don't say no or you don't set boundaries for yourself, a lot of people are just kind of like, okay, well, Osiris will drive me anytime I ask. And then what happens if you say no? They get upset. So that's because you didn't set boundaries earlier in your relationship, or you know, your friendship. That's the word I was really looking for. Your friendship, relationship, or whatever it is. An example is, okay, you may think because somebody is your friend that they respect you, but they don't. That's not necessarily true. They may tolerate you or put up with you or potentially think that they respect you, but okay, cool. So here's an example. Someone will come to your house, right? Cool, this is your best homie or one of your homies. You enjoy their company. You know, you don't necessarily want to be like, nah, don't pull up, you know. So they pull up. You don't necessarily mind them coming through. But when they come through, they're all like, all in your fridge. They're eating all your food. They didn't even like bring something, you know, to contribute. Like, yo, bro, like I didn't really have food in the crib, but I brought like a 1 liter, like a liter of soda or something, you know, like something, whatever, you know, just showing like a kind gesture, like, yo, bro, even if that was their intention, which is still messed up, but that's for another day. They should have definitely at least had enough courtesy, or honestly, they should have just told you to begin with, especially somebody like me, you know, like, I don't really care if you're like mad hungry and stuff, like, have a ball, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you need to rest, you can rest, but don't come to my crib and put your feet on the table. You know what I'm saying? Don't come to my crib and put your feet on the couch. Don't come to my crib and eat all my food. You know what I'm saying? Don't do things like that. You know what I'm saying? That, even though I'm your homie, that shows me that you don't respect me. So that is a good example of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody comes to your crib, and, you know, I'll give one for the homies. You know what I'm saying? I'll give an example for the homies. Somebody comes to your crib, they dig right in your ashtray, and they take all your clips. You know what I'm saying? They start smoking your clips. You know what I'm saying? They start rolling your clips, breaking your down. You know what I'm saying? And you just like, bro, like, they was there for a reason in my house, in my ashtray, bro. Like, you didn't even, I have more than enough supply to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have left my joint alone. Like, literally left my joint alone. You know what I'm saying? So that's another example, because that happens all the time. At least that has happened to me twice, and and this is another thing about, oh my gosh, I wanted to keep this like a list, but all these things are just like, yeah. So I was just about to say, like, telling people, not necessarily cursing them out, because a lot of people think that telling somebody about themselves is cursing somebody out or pointing something out about the person or something like that and telling them about it is rude or disrespectful. It's not. I'm setting a boundary. You did this. I didn't like that. I'm telling you, I didn't like that. So next time you come here, you don't do it again. Because if you come here and you do it again, we're gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like anyway, that type of thing. So basically, speaking up for yourself is definitely another way to show that you have respect for yourself, and that even though it may not necessarily your homie or whoever you just told, like, yo, like, don't do that, or when you do this, it makes me feel like this, setting boundaries or just basically telling somebody about something like that, they might not like it, but now they know, and they're gonna respect at least that. And depending on the type of person, they'll respect you more. And if they feel like, yo, I don't mess with Osiris no more because he told me about myself or he told me not to do this and I'm used to doing this, then that's not your homie and you need to get rid of them because they're just going to cause problems. And depending on what type of stuff they into, they're going to come to your crib and they're going to keep putting their feet on your couch. They're going to keep eating on your food until you smack the shit out of them. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I just be thinking about like, yo, sometimes people be bugging, bro. Sometimes people be bugging. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this list because I'm getting a little personal right now. You know what I'm saying? Not personal, but I'm getting too, like, crazy and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So, setting boundaries. Just saying people coming to the crib. That was my example. The ashtray thing was my example. You don't always have to be nice. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like what I was saying just now about, like, people always want you to do favors. People want you to do this, that, and the third. You can tell people no. And when you tell people no, they're going to understand that you know how to say no, and depending on what they ask you, they know how well you know how to say no. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to, if somebody's like, yo, let me borrow your car, you be like, no, I'm not letting you borrow my car. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you to be like, nah. And then if you usually let this person borrow your car, maybe you want to give them an explanation. Be like, hey, this is why I don't want you to borrow my car. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you borrow my car all the time. I feel like I loan you bread all the time. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I've been there. Like years ago when I used to always ask people for money. I never had bread. I'm always asking people for money. I mean, times ain't really changed. I still ain't got bread, but I don't ask people for money. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, what I'm saying is you can tell somebody no. Because that's draining on your mental health. And it's also draining on your friendship with that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you initiate that no, they're going to understand I'm not going to ask Osiris again for bread. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that happened to me. I had a couple homies that when I was a leech, I would ask them for bread. I'd be like, yo, spot me. I mean, I would give them back the bread. But the point is, it's like, bro, like I can't keep giving you $50, $100. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's your homie, it's a different story. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can muscle up just always giving your homie bread and whatever, at least if they return the favor, you know what I'm saying? If they reciprocate, if you gonna ask somebody for $100, bro, you need to be prepared to give that person $100 when they ask for it, bro. I'm just saying, that's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. That's another respect thing. You know what I'm saying? Just treat others how you want to treat them. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like it's a person that you want to give them money and you feel like, yo, they're not gonna pay me back, then you need to just give them money or just tell them no. You know what I'm saying? I had a homie that did that with me as well. He was like, look, I don't mind. You asked me for $20. Here's $20. You know what I'm saying? Don't think about paying me back. Don't worry about it. It's way more stressful for me to think about you paying me back whenever you're going to pay me back. That made a lot of sense. I learned a lot from him. Angel, actually, if you're watching this, shout out to you. So, yeah, I learned that. Okay, so far, I'm just going to go down the list of what we kind of went through. Self-respect, setting boundaries. You don't always have to be nice. You don't always got to do favors and all of that stuff. Oh, what I want to say is you don't need to feel guilty about that. You know, like you don't need to feel guilty about saying no, especially if you hardly say no. You know, I actually made a habit of telling people no. That's how I learned how to be like no, you know, and honestly, a lot of people started telling me no. So you don't need to feel guilty about that. Speaking up during conversations, this is kind of like what I was talking about. There's several different types of people, so it's kind of hard to tell somebody to speak up during a conversation if they don't normally speak up in life, in a sense. Excuse me. And I mean that to say, like, hey, they might be the quiet person in the group. You know, like Osiris is quiet. Like, how do you tell somebody who's super quiet to speak up? You know, you don't want them to be thinking that they have to be like, bah, 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 bah. You know, like they're not going to do that. They're always just going to be quiet. But I did notice, and even though I do talk a lot, well, at least like for the podcast, in person, I'm fairly quiet. Especially if I just met you, I'm more of an observer. I'm very observant. I like to read the room, read the temperature of people and all these things, you know. That's how I feel like you have to engage. I engage in a lot of active listening, and I try to understand somebody and try to find common grounds with a person before I just start blabbing and blabbing and blabbing, depending on the type of situation or where I met them at, that type of thing. So that is why there might be a part 2. So while speaking up, I find that hand gestures keep people engaged. I heard there's a thing called 1 second rule. And if you literally gesture, so yeah, like literally what I just did, like something right before you talk, everyone will pay attention. And that sounds kind of weird and manipulative, but it's literally just true. Like, it's not really like, I'm not telling you to flail your hands in the air. Like, like if you are ready to interject in a conversation or talk to somebody, if you make hand gestures, you will keep them engaged, and you'll also gain the attention of people in the room. So I find that to help. And also, that's why I like to rock the handheld, because I actually have like a whole stand mic. If you've seen the season 0, episode 00, you saw I actually had a whole different setup. It was more like bougie looking, and I mean, it wasn't bougie. It was just me sitting on the couch with lights and stuff like that. But I just kind of felt like it was too much. It was nice for what it was for season 0, episode 00. So I find that hand gestures work. I like to say people's names randomly, kind of. I mean, a lot of people do that. But I like to say people's name all the time during conversations. Excuse me. Just to keep their attention, and just so that they know, like, I'm actually paying attention to them. And I also like to, like I said, I like to engage in active listening. So I can't necessarily give you the definition of active listening right now, but if you want to look it up and see exactly what that is, but I definitely engage in active listening. When people are talking to me, I look at them, I try to understand what they're saying. Sometimes I repeat what they say, just so that they know I'm listening. Even if they're just talking, it'll be like, blah, 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 blah. I went to the store and then I fell. I'll be like, dang, so you fell when you went to the store? Like, blah, blah, blah. Not knowing where it feels like I'm repeating them, everything they're saying. But it's just so that they know, like, okay, Osiris is actually paying attention, because he's repeating certain details to me. Even if I'm in La La Land, I'm still paying attention, and they know that. So active listening, hand gestures, like I said, and then also saying people's names. I think that depending on because I expect a lot of different type of people to be watching this video, so I don't want to just be like saying, I don't want to just say stand up straight, fix your posture, because I don't know, somebody in a wheelchair could be watching this. I don't want to offend anybody, so I'm gonna basically say that as much as you can, straighten and align yourself with the person that you're speaking to. I'm not saying be weird and mimic them, but as much as you can, like, look up, whatever you need to do, acknowledge the person. I like to but I'm weird. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily weird, but I like to engage in things that I don't like to engage in, if that makes sense. That sounds super weird, and I mean but I mean it like this. Instead of going around, like, let's say I have to do a homework, and I know I really don't want to do that homework, I'll do that one first. I'm talking about that type of thing, just so I can get it out the way, So I basically am saying that to say this. I like to stare in people's eyes, depending on who they are. Like, literally, I'm staring at you right now. I'm staring at you right now. So anyway, I like to not necessarily stare, but I like to look in people's eyes, because I find that it shows I'm very confident. Like, I'm not googly, like, oh, but you also have to give everybody that same type of treatment. It's not like this person you look in their eyes and this person you don't. Unless you're, for some reason, afraid of that person. That's something you need to work on. I don't have a video for that yet. But anyway, yeah, I find that actually looking in people's eyes, making eye contact, that shows a lot of strength, confidence, even if you're pretending. building that type of thing, building certain habits that show people you're at least trying to have more respect for yourself and have other people's respect will have literally people start respecting you. Literally. From that moment, you tell that first person that you always tell yes, no, they're going to have a different respect for you. You know what I'm saying? Some people will even like that. You know, that's a whole different thing. But literally, people will be like, oh, you actually said no to me. That's interesting. Okay. You can just move on. And now they know. Like, literally. So, man, this is why I said this has to be 2 videos potentially. Because we're already at like 20 minutes. I respect, confidence, and things like that are very important to me. I'm not saying I go around and I'm like, respect me, but I like to present myself very respectful, not necessarily nice, but polite, stern to a certain extent, depending on what the situation is. I find that is, sticking to your word. This is all over the place. Sticking to your word is really important too. Even in fashion, like, you know, it's just like earlier today I was telling people about things that I wouldn't wear. So like, let's just say I'm like, I would never wear sparkly half and half pants with alligators, whatever. I'm just saying I wouldn't wear that. But then the following week, I'm just like wearing sparkly half and half alligator pants. You know, it just be like, bro, you just said that you was not gonna wear that, and now you wearing that, and now I'm questioning whether I trust your judgment and if I even respect you, because you lied to everybody, first of all, and you still wearing the weird pants, even though those kind of sound hard. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, even in fashion, like me, you know me, you can tell depending on who you are and what time. Not necessarily what time, but like depending on how far you know fashion and me and trends and things, that I've been wearing the same things forever and ever. I've never adjusted to like, I'm going to wear like a kimono, or like when people was wearing like big short, like just like weird stuff that I personally, like, it wasn't really weird. Like it just wasn't for me. I've always been a guy that's like, I'm gonna stick to my classics. I'm gonna stick to nicely engineered garments, things like that. So anyway, I'm gonna that also, like I said, the superficial stuff, but that was just an example. Just like I said earlier, you don't always have to be nice. You don't always have to apologize. That was a thing that I used to do all the time. So, and it wouldn't even have, like, it had nothing to do with me. It, like, literally things, for example, somebody would be walking and they'll trip and hurt their ankle or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not wishing that on none of my friends, but I'm just saying things like that, you might feel inclined to say sorry, but it's not on you. Like, why are you saying sorry that your friend is potentially an idiot and they just fell? Like, that has nothing to do with you. Like, they might say thank you and all that, but sometimes my friends be like, what are you saying sorry for, bro? Like, it's not your fault I left my wallet at the bar. Like, like things like that. You might be like, oh, I could have told you your wallet. Like, bro, no, stop saying sorry. Stop saying sorry for things that you didn't do. Like, it has nothing to do with you. That is a sign. I won't say that's a sign of weakness. That's like an empathetic sign, and also like kind of like a, I mean, it's a sign that you're human and all that stuff, but like, it's just also a sign of like, you're not to be respected. Cause like, you're always going to say sorry, especially if you didn't even do anything, like, there's so many people that say sorry for things they didn't do. It's ridiculous, and sometimes, like I said, I say sorry. You don't got to apologize. You don't got to say sorry for not wanting to do a favor. You don't got to say sorry because your homie has an opposing opinion. You can agree to disagree. You know what I'm saying? You can literally just be like, nah, I don't agree with that, but I respect you. And that in itself is, one, a good conversation skill. Well, it's a good life skill to be able to agree to disagree. And then also, you save a homie like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, sometimes your homie just don't agree with something you say, or you don't agree with something your homies say. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your homies want to talk about religion. Sometimes your friends want to talk about politics. Sometimes your friends want to talk about things that you just don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? Or like even small things like, yo, bro, get the red shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, I don't like red. Why you don't like red? Because I don't like red. Bro, red means powerful color. I don't care, bro. You could like red. I'ma like green. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one day I'ma like red. One day you gonna like green. By the way, those are my favorite colors. So don't even worry about me not liking red. Like, I love red. So anyway, active listening. And I'm gonna just list off a couple of other things. Being useful is just like, it's like, bro, like, when you're around, I'm not saying be like a dog, like a puppet or anything. Like, you don't need to go around people and be, I don't know why I was looking up like that. I'm not saying be a puppet or anything, but I'm just saying, like, when you pull up to the group, like I said, or if you pull up somewhere, like you pull up to the function, what do you do normally? You bring something. If you can't help, you bring something. So be useful. If you're gonna come to the skate park while we're shooting videos while of us skating, be able to hold the camera, or like be able to hold the water bottles or something. We're not asking for everything, but you know, it's the more that you are useful in certain situations, despite it being your friend, the better it is, because they'll want you around. They'll respect you more. Like I said earlier, calling out disrespectful behavior. I'm really big on that. I also like to show gratitude though too, and compliment people. So I like to do a lot of overall things, especially because a lot of people don't expect me to compliment them on things, especially when it comes to, like, I like to talk about fashion on here anyway, because I feel like it's very relatable, and a lot of people that are potentially watching this, from the people that I know, we're potentially all into fashion, at least in a standpoint from where we look good. Anyway, my point is, when I see people with good outfits on Instagram or in person, even though it may appear, and sometimes, I mean, majority of the time, to be honest, it's true, like, I probably have on some really expensive stuff. But just because I have on expensive stuff doesn't mean I can't compliment somebody on their outfit. Or like, yo, those jeans are fire. Like, I like how that fits. I actually try to compliment people all the time, actually. And show gratitude. Showing gratitude is a surefire way to get some respect from others, colleagues, friends, family. You know, you got to show gratitude, man. You really got to show people love. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that you got to be on somebody's Johnson. I'm just saying you got to show love to people. That goes with serving others. I always make sure if somebody comes to my house, are you hungry? Do you want some food? Yo, bro, I'm pulling up to your crib. Should I bring you some food? I just ate, but I'll bring you food. I'll cook. Yo, do you want some water? Do you have something to drink at your crib? Yo, I'll bring whatever. You know, like, I find that to be very important in being respected. It's just like, literally, I'm not saying this for me. I'm just saying, like, a king. A king serves his, like, country, whatever. You know, he serves his people. And if he didn't serve his people, what happens? They don't respect him. They want to overthrow him. They want to get him out of there. So, just like that, respect others, golden rule, and be polite. Really. That's really it. So I'm going to go down the list again, because I know I said a lot in between. This video was like 30 minutes. And it was honestly a lot of technical issues. But like I said, this is Lourde Under The Scope. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not perfect, and neither is my technology. So it's alright. So we're going to have self-respect. We need to respect ourselves. We're going to set boundaries with others. You don't always have to be nice to others, and you don't need to feel guilty when you're not being nice to others. especially if they're trying to manipulate you. Speak up for yourself, or just speak up in groups. Don't over apologize. Have confident body language. And also, I didn't say this. You need to be aware of your own body language. You know, especially if you just finished talking and it's time for the other person to talk. You can't be all excited to say what you want to say and be all like, I did this and this, that, and the third and blah, blah, blah. And then when the other person goes to talk, you're just like, oops. Nope. Yeah. So, that's about what we got for today. The Lourde Under The Scope, episode number 7. That's actually a good number to have this video. I'm really hoping that the audio and everything for this, I know it might be a little choppy, the video might be a little choppy, but I'm hoping that you're seeing this, because if you're seeing this, it's good enough to go up despite the video being choppy. So the Lourde Under The Scope, again, that was a topic picked by the team at Crack in the 80s podcast. Make sure you check out Crack in the 80s. I do sometimes go over there and talk. It's a New York based, well, I don't want to say based, but everybody is from New York that is on there. So check them out. Lord loves you. Lourde Under The Scope, episode 7. Again, sorry about the technical stuff. And I'm not really sorry because I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to myself because I couldn't figure it out. But I still love y'all. It's one of those things where I'm not going to say sorry for this. Peace. You already know who it is. It's Osiris Lourde, man. I know my video's looking a little funky today, man. But I was having a little bit of issues today with my Wi-Fi. Then by the time I got it done, anyway, I'm here, man. So today we doing the video a little later than usual. You know, it's a lot, and it's a little weird because since my Wi-Fi is down, I can't do it directly on Discord. So I'm recording it in Logic so that when it's recording in Discord, if it drops, it doesn't mess up. Blah blah blah. You know, all this technology stuff, man. This stuff is too much for me sometimes, man. And it's so simple, but it's so difficult at times. But anyway, you already know who it is. Osiris Lourde. I'm here today, man. And today, I asked my homies over at Crack in the 80s. Crack. I like doing it a little bit, 2 times. You know what I'm saying? 1, 2. And what we basically started talking about is, sorry, I'm looking at this video right now, so I'm trying not to let it mess up my spirits. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the end of the world, but we're gonna do it. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about Nah. Loud. Yeah, my camera was looking crazy. I couldn't figure it out. My camera was looking crazy. I couldn't figure it out. It was. I plugged the camera in, but it didn't work anyway. Yeah. You already know who it is, man. Osiris Lourde. Lourde Under The Scope, episode number 8. Yes, number 8. And you already know I got something. It's a banger. But first, we're gonna appreciate this little corner that I set up. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna appreciate. It's not always so beautiful when I come, you know, like do my background. Anyway, you know, today we're gonna talk about cognitive dissonance. Yeah, cognitive dissonance. That's how you say the word. It wasn't that I didn't know the word. I didn't actually never said the word out loud, so I just never really knew how to say the word. So basically, that is, I was actually going to do something on depersonalization. Well, I was actually going to do something on DPDR, but then I decided, let me just talk about depersonalization. And then that kind of went into like, that might be a little difficult for right now because I kind of want to get a chalkboard or something like that. Anyway, let me get back on topic. So basically, the feeling that you have, this is what I'm going to say. So basically, that feeling that you have when you lose control and, like, let's say you're in an argument or like you're debating with somebody and like you just lose all logic and you just start shouting. You don't necessarily need to shout, but basically like you just kind of stop listening to logic. Like your friend could literally be like, the sky is blue, and you're like, no, the sky is not blue. The sky is pink. And your friend's like, literally, it's blue, bro. Like, look up, it's blue. And you're like, no, it's pink. And even in your head, you know that the sky is blue. But for some reason, yeah, I know you probably just think, I mean, you are probably stubborn, but there's something that happens inside of us that makes us do things like that. So that's why it's a lot of things that go with that, like conversation skills and just also just kind of like going with yourself. So again, I'm going to start making a habit of saying that I am not a doctor. I am a guy that's reading things off the internet and just talking about personal experiences. So please do not self-diagnose yourself based off what I'm saying. So cognitive dissonance in the field of psychology, cognitive dissonance is the perception of contradictory information. This is so basically when your thoughts are inconsistent with, I'm sorry, that was just like a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, I believe y'all smart and y'all know what this says, but the point of this is to break it down to where everybody can understand. So that's basically like, okay, you have these two thoughts and they don't agree with each other in your head. I'm just going to use the popular example that everybody uses of smoking. So one thought is smoking is unhealthy. The other thought is I don't really care. Like, I smoke. You know, like it's those two things. So let's see. What are 7 signs of cognitive dissonance? Okay, so yeah, you have these two thoughts, and one is like smoking is unhealthy, and one is like I don't really care that smoking is unhealthy. But you're having conflicting thoughts because obviously some people don't really care, but some people feel uncomfortable, literally. Even myself, it's, you know, like just the two things in a debate all the time is just like really like annoying. So anyway, back to the example. So basically, if you're a smoker and you're like smoking's unhealthy and one, I don't really care. So there's literally a physical feeling that you feel of uncomfort, and whether you care or not, your body is still feeling that. So that's why it's good to kind of like work on it as far as like how you're feeling inside. You don't necessarily need to come to, I mean, it's best to come to a resolve like, okay, I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm just really going to decide like I smoked all my life and I do so much other unhealthy stuff that I don't really care. You know, that's typically what some people do. Some people are just like, I'm unhealthy, I need to change it. And some people are like, whatever. So I know that doesn't necessarily sound, you know, like all crazy, but again, there are just terms for certain things. And I know like putting a term on certain things just makes people feel uncomfortable, but that's what it is. You have to kind of know so you can at least talk to somebody, even if you don't believe that's what you have. Okay, so when someone tells a lie and feels uncomfortable about it because he fundamentally sees himself as an honest person, he may be experiencing cognitive dissonance. That is, there is mental discord related to a contradiction between one thought. In this case, knowing he did something wrong, and another thinking that he is honest. So that's just kind of like what I was just saying. Like, okay, I smoke and I kind of know that's unhealthy, but I also kind of don't care because this is what I like to do. And it's not, I mean, it's harming me or the person that's smoking or whatever, but they don't really care. So I wrote down a couple things in my notes and I'll just kind of go over them. So again, cognitive dissonance in its entirety is just basically when you're conflicted between two things. That's what dissonance is. Cognitive has to do with like your brain, your mind, stuff like that. So you're basically having mind conflictions. So getting back to that, how can you work on that? Like I said with the example with changing your thought, you have the two options of I smoke and I don't really care that I smoke. So you can change your thought being like, I'm just going to change my thought to I think smoking is unhealthy. That's it. You just pick that. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Or you change your behavior and you quit smoking. You know, you change your thought. You decided, hey, I'm going to not smoke because it's unhealthy. You went with that, and now you're gonna actually stop smoking because it's unhealthy. Now, if you feel like, hey, like smoking bad, I don't really care. You can add another thought to each one to be like, okay, I need to stop smoking. It's unhealthy. It can cause me to die. I actually don't care, and this is the other one. I actually don't care that I smoke because, like I said earlier, I do a bunch of unhealthy stuff, and that's it. So, you can also be very clear and consistent in what you're doing. I feel like that is very, very good for cognitive dissonance. Whoa, I have a fly. I'm trying not to swat, but I have a fly in the stew. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Like, I watch videos, like I said, I watch these videos and they're all 10, 20, 30, maybe even an hour long. And really, like, I try to make these videos a little bit longer, but realistically, I just try to break them down like as simple and fast as possible because they really don't need to be so long. From me, anyway. Cognitive dissonance, again, like I said, that's basically when you have two things in your brain going on: smoking bad, smoking fine, basically. Now, you know you're healthy, you eat all the time. Okay, so this is a good example. I'll give some examples. So you know you're healthy. I'll use myself as an example for this one. I am healthy. You know, I'm not like, you know, I'm in the gym all the time. That doesn't necessarily mean make you healthy, but like I'm pretty healthy, but I do smoke. So sometimes I'm like, I need to quit smoking because I'm healthy, quote unquote, and people perceive me as healthy, but then like I smoke. So people are just kind of like, I don't get it. You're supposed to be healthy, but you smoke all the time. Like, I don't get it. So that makes me feel confused, even though I know I don't really care about that opinion that or whatever that somebody else is having. I don't really care. I'm going to continue to smoke. But I feel physically uncomfortable now because I'm like, should I quit smoking? Should I do this, that, and the third, even though I know I don't care? So that's kind of what cognitive dissonance is. Now, if I wanted to solve that, I would go about this. Okay, smoking bad. I want to stop smoking. I'll put something in my head. Okay, well, if I don't quit smoking, I'm going to potentially die. You know, like I start adding thoughts onto why I should stop smoking or why I should continue smoking. I can die. Smoking leads to certain mental things, but then there's also not smoking, which also leads to certain mental things for certain people. So, you know, those types of things, just the confliction of inside. And there's more examples about it. I guess I'll go, you know, if you're still here, which you should be, because this is really helping a lot of people that go through this stuff, especially people who can't have a conversation. Like, it's like when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're just, or debate or quote an argument, and the person is you're talking to them and they know what you're saying is right, but now they're conflicted. You could be like I said earlier, the sky's blue, sky's green, whatever. That person will try to defend themselves even if they don't want to, just because they're literally dissociated already. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking, I need to win this battle. They're not even thinking, I need to make sense. They're literally thinking, I need to win this battle. Therefore, and how many people have you spoken to, or maybe even you have done it? I've done it before in the past too. You start talking, the person makes sense. You feel like they're not listening to you potentially, even though you're the one that's wrong. You start yelling, you start getting loud and stuff like that. That's because you're literally like in this space of like, I can't listen. I really feel like this should be a two-parter. I don't necessarily want to make this too long, or at least like, I think how I want to start doing my podcast is kind of like, this leads into this, leads into this, leads into this. So again, cognitive dissonance is when you're conflicted. Let's say I'm an honest person, but you need to go a bank or something. You know, I didn't want to say that word. You're like, I really need this money. I mean, obviously that's a bad thing to do, but you might be conflicted in your brain, like, dang, like, whatever. That's probably a bad example, to be completely honest. But yeah, you already know what it is. It's Osiris Lord. The Lord loves you. You know, I'm in this space right now, episode 8. We just talked about cognitive dissonance. I hope that you understood that. Like I said, I feel like a lot of my topics are starting to get a little more intricate, and my teaching style that I'm developing right now, besides talking to you guys, I feel like if you're watching the video, it would be really helpful if I had like a chalkboard or like something where I could draw, because it would be easier if I could draw like belief 1, belief 2, conflict 1, conflict 2, how to get rid of things like that. So anyway, the Lord loves you. The Lord Under The Scope. Osiris Lord, tune it out. Holla.
Smack 90 with the grill, let up where you speed. They left over, I'm gonna go that way it ready to eat.
You already know who it is. It's Osiris Lord, Lord Under The Scope, episode number 9. Number 9, number 5. Number 9 starts with N, so what we gonna do? Narcissism. I didn't plan that. Yes, I did, but I didn't plan the N thing. That was a bad joke, but we gonna get right into it. So, narcissism. Narcissism is something that a lot of us may experience throughout our life and not even know that we have it. We may potentially think it's normal, especially when we meet other people that potentially do the same thing. So if you're not familiar with narcissism is extreme self-involvement to the degree that it makes a person ignore the needs of those around them. While everyone may show occasional narcissistic behavior, true narcissists frequently disregard others or their feelings. They also do not understand the effect that their behavior has on other people. It's important to note that narcissism is a trait, but it can also be a part of a larger personality disorder. Not every narcissist has narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, as narcissism is a spectrum. People who are at the highest end of the spectrum are those that are classified as NPD, but others, basically they're saying people who are narcissists, not every person that's narcissistic has NPD. So to just kind of break that down, have you ever, or no, let's just use a different person. I mean, no, we haven't even used a person yet. But anyway, so that would be a person like, let's say you're talking to somebody and you're telling them, hey, my day is going pretty bad. This, that, and the third happened. I didn't even eat yet. Man, I just want to go home and relax. Blah, blah, blah. And the person just, you kind of just like lean into wanting to have a conversation about your day, pretty much. Let's just say that. And the person just starts talking about themselves. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a narcissist. They could be pretty much clueless. But typically, people who do this behavior that I just mentioned are typically narcissistic. So you can have said all those things, just kind of leaning into wanting to talk about your day. You know, you just need a friend and they're just kind of like, oh, well, my day was pretty good. You know, like they're just raining. I mean, it's not necessarily that you had a parade because you said your day was bad. But if you understand what I'm saying, it's just kind of like they're just throwing salt. They're just like, okay, well, your day sucked, but my day was awesome. I'm the greatest. You know, today I learned this skill today. And you're just kind of overwhelmed and exhausted by that. And you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to go home. So that is a basic example of narcissism. So with that being said, there are definitely signs of narcissism, and I'll read off. These are all from WebMD, by the way. That definition I gave you was also from WebMD. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, so please don't self-diagnose yourself based off of, or someone else based off what I'm telling you. Please see a doctor or a therapist. But these are typical signs of narcissism. Sense of entitlement. So like I said, it's just kind of like, this belongs to me, this, that, and the third, but I'll read what they have on WebMD. A common sign of people with narcissism is the belief that they are superior to others and deserve special treatment. They believe that others should be obedient to their wishes and that the rules don't apply to them. So a lot of people in life who are more dominant, in a sense, quote unquote, are typically narcissists. They have manipulative behavior. That's a big one for sure. A narcissist will first try to please you and impress you, but eventually their own needs will always come first. When relating to other people, narcissists will try to keep people at a certain distance in order to maintain control. They may even exploit others to gain something for themselves. So basically, that's like someone who's a narcissist may potentially, we'll just use a random example. Bob wants to get a promotion, right? Bob is friends with Lisa. But Bob is like, you know what? I don't even care right now. I'm going to snitch on Lisa to get to the top. Like, I mean, yeah, that is like, no, because he just snitched on. I'm not saying, you know, she did something. She just is like, he just straight up snitched on her and was like, nah, I'm going to the top. You know what I'm saying? That's manipulative. Okay, let's just say it this way. He snitched on Lisa to his boss in order to manipulate his boss into thinking that he's a goody two shoes so that he can get a promotion. You know? There we go. Lack of empathy. Lack of empathy is another sign of narcissism. This means that the narcissist is unwilling or unable to empathize with needs, wants, or feelings of other people. This also makes it difficult for them to take responsibility for their own behavior. So like I said, you could have went to your friend and was like, hey, my day was terrible. And then your friend is just literally like, I ate ice cream today. I went on a date. I bought new video games. You know, like I did all these great things. Instead of even taking like a minute or two to acknowledge your feelings or just kind of like talk about what you wanted to talk about. Because you could have, you know, you just wanted somebody to hear you out. You could have been done with your conversation in 2 minutes and would have listened to Tom, Dick, and Harry listen to their narcissistic day for the rest of the day. But since they didn't want to listen to you, you're just kind of put off by them as just a human being. So anyway, like I said, lack of empathy, need for admiration is definitely one. One of the most common signs of a narcissist is constant need for praise or admiration. People with this behavior need to feel validation from others and often brag or exaggerate their accomplishments for recognition. They also like to feel appreciated to boost their ego. So, you know, like I said, well, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. You know, somebody that's like, oh, you're not gonna, did you notice my hair? You know, like, yeah, I noticed your hair and I was gonna say something, but now that you're talking about your hair, I kind of don't even want to say anything. Or like, yeah, my outfit costs $5,000. It's like, bro, I don't care. My outfit actually costs $15,000 and I didn't even say anything about it. You know, like things like that. So just small things like that. Arrogance. People with narcissistic behavior already see themselves as superior to others, so they may become rude or abusive when they don't receive the treatment they think they deserve. While they hold themselves superior, they may speak or act rudely toward those that they deem inferior. So basically, some people, if you aren't treating them how they want to be treated, they might start ignoring you. They might think that you're a bad friend. You know, like in the other episode where I was like, oh, you don't give somebody money, they stop being your friend. All these things go together. I'm doing all of these section by section so you can understand them individually, and then as the time passes, I'll start going into more complex disorders and things of the nature. And again, like I said, I'm just a dude reading off the internet. I'm not a doctor. Don't self-diagnose based off what I'm saying. Please go to the doctor and go to therapy and everything you need to do, and if you need to seek treatment, please go do that. So basically, in order to deal with narcissism, and this is from actually, I'll put the phone down. I went through a very, very, see, I'm scratching my head. Well, if you're listening to this, you can't see me scratching my head. And if you're watching this, I mean, if you're just listening, you should definitely check out the video, by the way. And all of you that are here checking out the video, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. The Lord loves you. So anyway, this is a personal experience. I went through a couple years in my life where I realized life was cool, but then I realized I was losing a lot of friends. I feel like I may have actually touched on this. I'm not going to go down a huge, like rabbit hole thing of my life a couple years ago right now, but basically I realized I was a jerk. A lot of people started telling me, dude, you kind of suck as a human, because I started realizing I was losing a lot of friends. My life wasn't going how I wanted to. I was getting depressed. This is when I was going through a lot of my emotional phases. When I realized, holy snap, I am actually really sad right now, or I'm really upset. It had to do with the person I was dating for sure, but regardless, these were pent up emotions. So anyway, my girlfriend at the time made me realize that I pretty much sucked as a human being. And then I kind of basically asked her why, like honestly, and she told me why, and it really hurt my feelings, but there were things I needed to hear in order to work on it. So ultimately, I started typing in those things on the internet, shout out to Google. And they ultimately led up to telling me that I was narcissistic, and I was a narcissist. Well, I was a narcissist in general. So basically, after reading that, I basically found out that I just needed to work on my people skills. So I just started working on my people skills. I started to listen to people when they spoke. I started to not make things about myself, especially when I felt like, because I feel like most people, we know, or at least people who are narcissistic, or even just human being, and when there's times to about yourself, interject. Well, a lot of people don't know. I should make a whole video about when it's the proper time to interject, because people. Anyway, so basically, you feel to just talk about yourself while somebody else is having a whole conversation and talking about whatever they want to talk about that they potentially initiated. Stop thinking about what you want to talk about. Just listen. That is a good first step, in my opinion. When you feel like I want to talk, especially if it's not really your turn to talk, or somebody's venting or talking about their day, just pause. Let them finish. Think about what you want to say, which you should probably, depending on, unless they asked you a question or something that has to do with you needing to talk about yourself or something else besides what they just spoke about. Lost my train of thought. Anyway, unless they say something that regards to you and where you need to respond with something, saying something about yourself or something other than what they just spoke about, then you should just reply to what they said. And that's pretty much it. I mean, from then, like, oh snap, like this person really appreciates the fact that I just listened to them or even responded, even if you're not listening. It literally takes like so much like brain power, I guess would be called. Just adjust to pausing before speaking after someone speaks, and just thinking about what they just said versus someone saying I crossed the street, you just say I crossed the street, then I went to the store, and then I went to do this. And I don't know why crossing the street is my favorite example, but basically that's how I feel. Instead of being like I crossed the street too, you should just be like, okay, what happened after you crossed the street? They'll say I went to the store, and then literally they might be done. They'll be like, how about you? Then you can say I went to the street, I crossed the street, I went to the store, I looked at the light, I bought a shirt, all of these things. And they'll be like, oh, okay, they're fulfilled literally just because you listen to their 2 sentences. And they're also fulfilled because they like listening to all the things you need to say. Now, you don't need to be narcissistic in order to talk to yourself, have a conversation that involves, I guess talking about yourself, you just have to have listening skills, active listening skills. But anyway, like I said, narcissism is basically someone, you find them always talking about themselves. The whole conversation always goes back to them. They start throwing a pity party about themselves. Like, they start tossing their emotions around. There's so many, like, I can definitely make in-depth video about narcissism and like put bullet points and everything just because I was super narcissistic in my life. But I like to have these videos moderately short, especially when the subject is easily explainable. So if you have a narcissistic friend, or you feel like you're a narcissist, or you are narcissistic or have traits of narcissism, please talk to somebody. Maybe ask a friend, hey, what do you think about me? And let them tell you. But obviously a friend that you trust, because some friends will just start blurting off things that have nothing to do with like you as a real person. They'll just start saying like your jeans are too tight, like like things like that have literally nothing to do with you. So yeah, ask that, and then if anything, you can definitely seek medical treatment with a therapist or a doctor. This is Lourde Under The Scope. Osiris Lord. The Lord loves you. Again, topic of the day was narcissism and signs of narcissism. Peace.
Sometimes you want to work, and sometimes you don't want to work. What are we doing today? We working? We working or we not working? Oh, look like we're working.
You already know who it is, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the motherfucking spot and you already know what the fuck I do, you know what I'm saying? I'm already in the motherfucking place, you know I'm in the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, so it do work, I bet. Oh. You already know. You already know who it is. Osiris Lord, the Lord loves you. Lourde Under The Scope, episode number 10. Yes, we made it, you know what I'm saying? I made it to episode number 10. Be proud of me, you know what I'm saying? Go over there and clap your hands, you know what I'm saying? Do what you gotta do, man. I just want y'all to know that this is for everybody, but it's really for me. I just wanted to kind of make sure I could be consistent. But anyway, episode number 10 is about toxic masculinity. So, today's episode is about toxic masculinity, and it is sponsored by Mr. Osiris Lord himself. So, in order to know what toxic masculinity is, you have to know what masculinity is, quote unquote, masculinity. So, masculinity, this is a crazy word, man. Masculinity is defined as maleness, or to the traditional qualities and characteristics associated with being a male. Showing strength and dominance is an example of showing masculinity. Now, some of y'all probably turn your faces up at what I just said, you know what I'm saying? But that's because it's 2022. Back in the day, people used to be like, I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm a woman. And then they would show off certain traits, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm strong, I'm gonna pick up this big log for no reason in front of his women, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. That's quote unquote masculinity, you know what I'm saying? And exerting your dominance on people, quote unquote, that's masculinity. I don't know, that's crazy. But anyway, so things like that is how we get toxic masculinity. So toxic masculinity involves cultural pressures for men to behave in a certain way, and it's likely this affects all boys and men in some fashion. Toxic masculinity refers to the notion that some people's idea of manliness perpetuates domination, homophobia, and aggression. So, I don't know all those names they be having. They be having the Chads, the Brads, the Cads, and the Lads. You know what I'm saying? They be having all those names for all those people. I don't know if some of them simps, some of them is hyper masculine or have toxic masculinity. I don't know. But I can tell you that people talk about toxic masculinity as if that is just a person's personality. That's not, I mean, some people it is, but having toxic masculinity is more of like a verb, being like, I don't know if it's necessarily know if it's a verb, but basically it's not like that person is a toxic male. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. It's like you're exuding toxic traits of masculinity. You know, like instead of like being calm, you're literally just like picking things up for no reason to show off for people. You're like exerting your dominance. You're trying to exert your dominance over people for no reason. You're potentially like, if your homie pulls up in a pink shirt, you're like, oh, why are you wearing that shirt? That shirt is pink, you know, it's like gay or something, you know, like whatever. And that's kind of toxic. I mean, a lot of dudes are unfortunately raised that way, so we do have traits of that. But as you grow up in the new world, you realize wearing pink is not gay. I thought we established that since Cameron. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who Cameron is, that's the rapper that be wearing all the pink. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who that is, you need to look him up, Cameron. So we're in a day and an age where I feel like a lot of people are, or at least a lot of assigned male at birth people are more comfortable with their sexuality, and the internet promotes more being free with yourself. So I feel like a lot of men have kind of slowly like stopped being so toxic, but then you have those guys that are super toxic. They're just through the roof. But anyway, let me get into, I could talk all day, but I like to give y'all facts and things of the nature first before I start giving my personal opinion, because I have a whole opinion about toxic masculinity. It's crazy. It's not really crazy because, it is what it is. Some people are like that and some people are not, but yeah. So these are some traits of toxic masculinity: emotional detachment, hyper competitiveness, aggression, intimidation, violence, sexual objective excuse me sexual objectification, and you're sexually predatory. See, even my watch agrees. That was right on the money. So there we go with that. That's basically all I had. So when we say that, basically those dudes that are like, I'm better than you, like you can have competition. There's nothing wrong with a little healthy competition. But there's some dudes that just want to make everything a competition. So just to kind of even say like that, okay, this can once basically. So with the sexual predatory and like sexual objectification of people and things like that, right? So let's say we take that and then we add it with the competitiveness, and then what? We have a bunch of dudes. I don't know. Some of y'all might have did this. I mean, I did it at a party when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be here and sit and talk like I never went through a phase of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was narcissistic and all of that stuff. So, of course, that type of thing comes with being a narcissist most of the time, misogyny and like things of that nature. But this is not what we're talking about right now. So I'm going to get back on the money. So you take the competitiveness and then you take the sexual objectification of people, and then you have how many numbers do you think I'm gonna get, and then you turn it into a competition. I'm just saying this is what I did and people did back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like elementary school type days. Yeah, I bet I can get more numbers than you. Oh, nah. I can get more numbers than you. End of the night, what you doing? You literally writing fake numbers. I was writing fake numbers down, bro. Talk about I got 15 numbers, bro. It's only 3 girls at the party. You feel me? Like, shit was crazy. Excuse my language. It was crazy. So I feel like that's a good example of toxic masculinity. Now, I was watching a video on YouTube. I honestly forget what page, but they actually showed James Bond clips. And if you know me, you know I really like James Bond and 007 or whatever. But they did actually improve a lot. I mean, I know that those are movies that basically show super like masculinity, you know what I'm saying? Like he got the nice car, the nice gadgets, he's always with women and like all this stuff. But they showed a scene in like Goldfinger where he just like basically like went on top of the girl. Like that's me being really nice, you know what I'm saying? He was like, let me show you something. And I never seen a scene like that ever in 007. I know they definitely in the writing of the future ones, they was like, don't put that in there again, because that was crazy. He just like literally just it's Goldfinger. It's from 1967 or something like that. Yeah, look that scene up. It was like in the Bond. He just literally that was crazy scene. She looked like she was like, bro, what are you doing, bro? Like, and he's just like, ha ha ha. Anyway, things like that, where, and here, I guess I can go into another personality. So those guys that are kind of like, oh, you should like me because I have money, I have a job, I have fancy cars, and like the people that like just talk about whatever they're interested in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna just say girls or whatever this person that's exuding this toxic masculinity is into. You know what I'm saying? They're typically like, this person should like me because I have money. This person should like me because I go to the gym. This person should like me because of all these mixtures of things. And then that starts becoming an obsession. And then this is how a lot of these people end up, like assaulting people, whether it's like mentally, physically, aggressively and things like that. So, yeah, toxic masculinity. It's not really a like a person. It's like, I would say it's more like something that people exude. It's like today I'm gonna be toxic. Like, this is a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. You know, it's not like, I'm sure you guys understand. I don't need to keep explaining it. It's more of a verb than it is a noun, if that makes sense. You know, like, I think it's a thing that you do. You act toxic, and masculinity is what you're using to act toxic. So you're hyperlizing, if that's even a word, masculinity, but in a bad way. So you're becoming, you know, because people like to be masculine, you know, in the world that people are just regular, like, I'm a man, I'm a woman, blah blah blah. It's fine to be masculine, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad word. It's not like, you know, but when you add that toxic to it, that's when it becomes a bad word. So anyway, just to also clear this up, since there is toxic masculinity, there's definitely toxic femininity. I actually didn't look it up. So, I mean, I'm just assuming that there's that. It's not really in my field. I mean, I'm not necessarily targeting men or AMAB specifically. I'm really doing it for everybody. But I feel like me specifically going over toxic femininity is something that I don't really know about. I would possibly get somebody to come up here and talk about it, because I feel like I don't want to talk for, you know, like, I'm not a woman. I'm not like, you know, I mean, I have feminine energy, but I'm not a woman. I don't expect a woman to potentially know something that I would know. Anyway, before I get canceled for gender pronouns. Love y'all. So, Cyrus Lord, like I said, today's episode was about toxic masculinity. If you know somebody like that, you know, maybe you want to tell them, hey, Brad, chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? You need to chill the fuck out with all that, bro. Like, because for some reason, I just remembered a whole bunch of stuff I could tell y'all. So I'm going to keep it short. So basically, like, a lot of these people become this way because they fear being a masculine or viewed as feminine or gay or things like that. You know, that's how people basically become, well, not basically, but how some people become homophobic, transphobic. They become just angry, man. Like, just like, you ever just been around a dude that you're just like, bro, chill out, bro. Like, yeah, man. So anyway, like I said, that's how a lot of people end up becoming that way, because they worry so much about not being viewed that when something potentially happens to them that makes them uncomfortable, that they just flip the switch. You know, like a person that is of the LGBTQ community can compliment a cis heterosexual man, and he just instantly goes off. Oh, nah. That's like, bro, all they said was you had cool shoes, bro. Like, you know, like, things like that. Like, as you can see in my face, I don't like being around stuff like that. You know, like, I'm not necessarily like, I'm not all willy nilly, you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate people, and I respect people, and I appreciate people's perspective. Now, things may not be for me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna be like, nah, bro, get away from me. Like, like some of you guys do. That's be crazy, bro. I be seeing some of the stuff some people say online, man. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, but this is not what that's about. Anyway, like I said, so Cyrus Lourde Under The Scope, signing out. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Number 11 coming soon. Shout out to y'all for watching. If you watched all 10 so far, that's out to this day. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate y'all. And remember, have some water and make sure you work on your mental health. You know what I'm saying? Take at least 5 minutes. Signing out. Peace. It's not what you are, it's what you do. You already know who it is, you know what I'm saying? Osiris Lord Under The Scope. And we here with episode number 11. I figured I would take it a little bit easy, at least easy for me, you know, because I feel like I'm a pretty good friend. But some people need some words of support, you know what I'm saying? And they're not really getting them from their homies. So today's topic is going to be how to be a more supportive friend. Or if you're not very supportive to begin with, how to be a supportive friend. And I think that is something that a lot of people need to work on, because, you know, relationship stuff, friends, platonic, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever friend, every friend. So friendship could be definitely difficult, especially when you don't know what to say to your friend. So I'm just going to give you a couple tips about how to be a supportive friend. The first tip is empathize. Now, showing empathy, it may be hard for some people and some people easier than others. But showing empathy is just basically like if somebody had a bad day, you'll actually talk to them and be like, "Oh, how's your day go? Sorry your day went bad." And then you just kind of console them and talk to them. You don't necessarily baby them and make them feel like a little kid or anything. But basically, empathy is just relating to someone in like an emotional way, or just kind of like just connecting with somebody versus like, yeah, we like clothes. It's kind of like, oh dang dude, sorry you had a bad day, let's kind of talk about that. I think I should do a video on empathy separately. Validating your friend, like your friend may have did a good job at doing something, whatever it is they're trying to do. You want to make sure that you make them feel like you're paying attention or you're supporting them. I feel like support was actually one of the top things that I needed to work on when I was kind of going through my mental journey, because like I said, I was very narcissistic. Our relationships with my relationships with people would be kind of like one-sided. I'd just be like using resources, doing a lot of emotional dumping. Emotional dumping is just pretty much when you say everything you need to say and like tell someone about your feelings and things in nature, and then like you don't even really listen to them. So I used to do a lot of like emotional dumping, one-sided conversations, not reciprocating empathy. If somebody felt empathetic or they just wanted to make me feel better, I would just kind of take that and never really even just reciprocate it. So validating your friend, kind of giving them a pat on the back for a good job. You see, I talk really quickly. So, just small, there's so many ways to validate someone. Validating people definitely is one of the best things I can say, like in a relationship. And when I say relationship, I don't just mean like just with a significant other. I mean like overall, because when you're friends with somebody, that is also a relationship. So when I say relationship, don't think I mean romantic all the time. I just mean like friends. So that, I feel like they have another one here. This is from mytherapynyc.com, by the way. They have a couple just like bold points that I'm just gonna talk about. They have ask specific questions. Asking a question before offering feedback is another impactful tool for being a supportive friend. Asking questions demonstrates that you care and are curious about the person's experience. It also opens communication and gives that person more room to reflect and share. There's no need to try and read someone's mind to give them the right answer or to know what they need. You can always ask. Example: what do you need from me right now? Is there anything I can do to help? How are you taking care of yourself? Pretty good questions, right? Okay, then they have some don'ts, which I'll actually talk about. They have: don't take on the responsibility to fix it. Do not try to fix the problem by listing different solutions before asking what you can do or what this person needs. Yeah, that's annoying. I feel like a lot of friends, they think that just because someone comes to them with a potential, or just like, like somebody could say like, I need a job. I just talk to them and say, hey, like, maybe it'll be better tomorrow. Like literally, it'll be better tomorrow. And some friends will just like list off like, I found you a different job, do this, do that, the third. Although they're trying to be helpful, that's not really supportive. Like, I mean, like, I don't necessarily want to leave my job, bro. My job is a good job. They pay me well. I'm just complaining today. I guess that's not necessarily the best example, but just kind of, okay, like when you say fix it, all right, I'll just phrase it in a different way. Let's say I'm going to change it. I'm going to say basically a supportive friend, as far as, okay, let's say you're somewhere, right? You're at the party, friend has anxiety attack. instead of just being like, dude, suck it up, man up. You know what I'm saying? You can console them. You know, things like that. Like, because once you like, hey, you're just out for no reason. It's all good. Why are you acting like they're gonna start being like even worse potentially? Like they're gonna start freaking out even more because you're telling them to calm down. It's like, bro, I can't really calm down right now. If I could calm down right now, I would just calm down. Like, you know, like, and the fact that you're telling me to calm down is not making it any better. So basically, things like that. I don't know, man. I feel like to be a supportive friend, it just really takes honesty, vulnerability. Honestly, really, that's it. It's like honesty, being vulnerable, being truthful to yourself, respecting people's boundaries, and you know, giving people space when they, you know, like, I mean, that's part of boundaries, but I feel like, you know, to some people, boundaries and giving people space is two different things. Well, it technically is. Boundaries and space is two different things. But, you know, I personally feel like if you just kind of work on yourself as a human being overall, then you won't really have an issue being friends or being supportive. You know, like, as long as you understand that relationships in general are two-way streets and that you can't just give up at every turn of or every sight of like hardship. You know, like if you have an argument with your friend, maybe you might need to give a day or two off. But me personally, if I have an argument with my friend, I give it 5 minutes and then we're talking again about what just happened, and then we're over it. And I know how to approach the conversation if it's a touchy matter, or, you know, something of the nature. So anyway, this one's gonna be short. I'm not gonna really sit and ponder about this. I feel like at this point, if you've really watched a bunch of my videos, you won't necessarily have a difficult time maintaining a friendship, or at least a healthy one, if you're actually studying and all the things that I just said in the past podcast. So, empathize, validation, ask specific questions. Those are the do's on mytherapynyc.com, and then don'ts are don't make assumptions. I guess I completely skipped that. But yeah, don't make assumptions. Don't take on the responsibility to fix it. And I can't sign out. I can't sign out without doing this one. Don't compare their problem to one of your own. That is really important. I know I said I was gonna sign out, but I need to talk about that one really quickly. So basically, this says, don't compare their problem to one of your own. For example, OMG, me too, or I know exactly what you're going through. That is so annoying. Like, especially in a time of need, it's like, bro, like, do you really know what I'm going through? You probably don't. Even if you went through a similar situation, you probably don't know what I'm going through. So, the important thing to keep in mind when holding space for loved ones is that people most often want to feel heard. By listening carefully, without distractions or interruptions, you are communicating that the other person matters to you. Humans need healthy relationships to survive. Being there for someone in need is one of the single most important ways to keep a relationship healthy. Yeah, man. All you gotta do, man, is listen. Literally, if you want to be a good friend, listen and just kind of reiterate what the person said back. Make sure you understand what they said. If you don't understand what they said, they'll tell you what they meant by that. And that's it. That's all you gotta do. Be supportive. Here's another thing. I love having like a free form of being able to myself, basically, because I can just be like, oh, it's done, but then be like, nah, it's not done, actually. So dang, I lost my train of thought. So anyway, the Lord loves you. Osiris Lourde Under The Scope, episode number 11, episode number 12 coming up, and then we're gonna have a new season. I'm gonna upgrade the quality and all of that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So Osiris Lord loves you. So Lourde Under The Scope. It's your boy Osiris Lourde, tuning in today. The Lourde Under The Scope. You already know, man. Like I said, it's Osiris Lourde, man. It's a weird take. You already know who it is, man. Osiris Lord, it's me, it's you, it's everybody in the universe. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for making it to episode 12. I really appreciate that. And just for that, I felt like I was going to talk about mental hygiene, specifically at the last episode of at least this season, because I feel like it has to do a lot with everything we went over. So, what is mental hygiene, you're asking? Mental hygiene. Well, first of all, what's hygiene? You guys know about physical hygiene. You brush your teeth, hopefully take a shower and all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? So you keep your body sharper. Why not do that with your brain, you know what I'm saying? Mental hygiene. So mental hygiene is basically sharpening your mind. It's basically like training your brain. It's not the same thing as like a brain memory game or something, but it's like sitting down and basically doing shadow work inside your brain. That's how I take it anyway. Now, as far as mental hygiene tips, because it's not really much to say about it, you know, I'm just kind of going over tips. These are from Business Insider, and I think that these are pretty good. Transcend the environment. To transcend your environment, you must mentally overcome any physical factors you can't control, such as when the air conditioning goes out at work during a hot summer. Instead of focusing on the fact that you're sweaty and uncomfortable, distract yourself with pleasant or innocuous thoughts, Brown says. It's like the old adage, mind over matter, which, wow, damn, I was scared. That was a good one, mind over matter, which is exactly what it is. You can be in any environment, and as long as you can hold your inner peace, you know, you're not always going to be able to control everything. And that's where some people lose their what is it, their feng shui, their flow, you know. They can have everything going, but if they can't control certain things, then they're just gonna lose it, you know. Like sometimes it's way too hot and it's just like, bro, it's hot, I'm angry because it's hot. But if you can overcome that, I mean, yeah, you're gonna be sitting there sweating crazy, but that's what I do. I be hot, I just sit there and sweat. Honestly, I don't complain, because if I complain, I'm just gonna be stressing myself out about something I literally can't change. So number 2 is cultivate constructive acceptance. Learn not only to accept the physical things you cannot change, but to accept them graciously, Brown advises. In high school, Brown dreamed of playing center in the NBA, but he was too short to excel at the position. Instead of compromising and playing forward or guard, he gave up on basketball. Years later, Brown realized he should have constructively accepted his handicap and found another way to pursue his NBA dreams instead of dropping them entirely. So basically, stick with your John, you know what I'm saying? Might not go the way you want, but just kind of stick in it. You know, stick in there, keep sticking. Anyway, number 3, this is one of my favorite ones. Visualize the ideal self. Before taking on any task, from tackling a hefty to-do list to giving a company-wide presentation, visualize yourself coming out successful. If you can picture your ideal outcome of a challenge, you can then inhabit that ideal self as you actually go through the challenge, explains Brown. It means visualizing yourself successful with all the goals you hope to achieve despite challenges, conflicts, and adversity, he says. This visualizing technique shouldn't be saved for just big events. It should be a part of your everyday mental hygiene routine. That's exactly what I do. I try to picture myself, like, I may not necessarily know what I want to do. And if you know me, like, to some people, it may seem like I don't aspire to do much with my life, but I've done so much in my 20s that I'm able to live the type of lifestyle that I am now. It may seem like I'm not doing much, but trust me, the not much I'm doing is making me very happy. Very, 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 very happy. Trust me. But either way, I visualize myself being in this position. That's my point. Not necessarily throughout my whole 20s, but I did tell myself at a certain point, probably when I reach 30, I don't want to work for anybody. I don't mind working with someone. I don't mind working, you know, like working. I don't mind, but I'm not going to work for somebody, especially to be underpaid. And I have all these skills and stuff. Like, when the season 1 starts, you guys are going to see how much skills I have, because I'm going to be showing you guys skills versus like physical skills, just like I'm talking about right now, like physical hygiene and mental hygiene. I'm going to the more physical. 4, use positive affirmations. Now, positive affirmations are good. I like positive affirmations, telling yourself like you can do it, blah, blah. But don't turn it into toxic positivity. A lot of people have toxic positivity where it's like everything's going to be fine and this, that, and the third. Like, you got to be logical. I feel like you have to be very logical in your affirmations and your positivity. I feel like if you're using affirmations, that's great, but use realistic ones. Don't use affirmations like I am the greatest God in the world and blah, blah, blah. Like, use real, like, you can, if that's going to improve your confidence and, you know, in yourself and stuff like that, go for it. I don't really care. You know, narcissism, that's something we spoke about, and just being super self-confident. You know, like, I have no problem with that. My name is Osiris Lord. It's literally Osiris and Lord. Like, I clearly have a God complex. Anyway, like I said, I digress. This is just episode 12, so, you know, I feel like I just want to talk a little bit, you know. So, using positive affirmations. Think of a phrase that gets you motivated. For example, you can do it, and repeat it as you tell yourself to think positive thoughts. Although it may feel silly at first, Brown warns you'll eventually program your subconscious to associate the phrase with an uplifting feeling, motivating you to power through any situation. Brown has conditioned himself so that his phrase triggers an automatic adrenaline rush. Yeah, man. That's I do that as well. Like, I like to do affirmations. I did affirmations for quite a while, every morning and night, until I literally programmed in my brain, like, yes, you are this. Yes, you are that. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do that. Like, whatever it is you feel like, you know, you want to do that. But like I said earlier before I read that, make sure it's not toxic positivity. Because toxic positivity will get you nowhere. It's like literally like if something happened and your friend is just like, oh, don't worry, it's going to be okay. And you know it's not going to be okay. That's toxic positivity. Number 5, practice psychological counterpunching. Excuse me. Brown draws this technique from famed boxer Muhammad Ali, who said that a good counterpuncher will hit without being hit. To implement this psychology, Brown suggests using a double dose of positive affirmations. When a negative thought comes to mind, such as I'll never finish this on time, first block it by saying something like, yes, I can, and then knock it away with a phrase such as just do it. I do this all the time. Even when I'm doing this right now, like I can literally be laying down and I'm just like, man, I just want to lay here. It's so comfortable. But then I'll literally be like, I need to get up. I'll like hop out of the bed. You should see it's like manic almost. I'll hop out of the bed. I'll mope around for like 1 minute. And then I'll just be like, you know what, bro, just do it. It's only going to take you 10, 15 minutes. And the rest of your day is going to be amazing if you do this. So that's what they mean. Like, you wake up, you be like, I can be up, let's like creative. And then when something comes in, like, you can't be a creative, you just be like, I'm gonna get up right now and I'm gonna paint something. Literally, boom, I'm the greatest painter. No, they trying to change you into a narcissist here, but it's alright though, you know. It's alright. Number 6, change your internal computer chip. This is a really good tip. This is literally like it only comes from me potentially being a robot. A lot of people can't necessarily just rewire their brain like this. I feel like I be downloading information in my brain. It's not like I learn, bro. It's like I get some information, I'm just like boop, and I can just automatically apply it. I know a lot of people can't necessarily do that. So change your internal computer chip. Like computer memory chips, our minds become programmed to constantly think certain things, Brown says. So in order to change a negative behavior with one, instead of simply telling yourself to stop doing something, concentrate on the habit you'd like to replace it with and stick with it. You must do the same thing every time you lose focus so that your new memory chip will allow you to relax, Brown says. Now, anytime, this is kind of like when okay, when a smoker is trying to quit smoking cigarettes and then they're like, I want to smoke. and then they go to the store and buy a lollipop and have a lollipop instead. It's the same. It's literally the same concept of that. So like when you're potentially, this is my own example. If I start to feel overwhelmed or something like overstimulated, I will literally turn off all electronics around me, sit down, breathe, have water, and that will literally calm me down within like 5 minutes. I'm not gonna say 30 seconds or no exaggerated thing like that because I am a human being. I'd be overstimulated. So I'll just literally sit down, no music, no nothing. If anything, I might turn on like some waterfalls or like some binaural beats or something like that. But for the most part, when something goes through my brain that I don't like, I just try to shut it out immediately. Like I get pressed a lot at night, like that. So it's where I live. It's 3 hours from where, not necessarily 3 hours, but I'm saying like it's a different time zone. So 7 and they're at 7 p.m. and they'll be getting ready for bed, you know, like over there, like New York or wherever in the East Coast. So during those times when it becomes 9, it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. It might be like 3 a.m. over there. So I be depressed, and when I'm depressed, I'll watch it. Drawing is my new thing. Just like start drawing. So change your internal computer chip. When this thing happens for me, it makes me do this. I get depressed, I draw. If I feel angry, I sit down, I start to decompress, things like that. And then I have a couple other. So again, from Business Insider, and I actually have a couple of tips that I just wrote down from the side. I think being aware of your stress level is really important as far as my mental hygiene, because a lot of people go from 0 to 100, and a lot of people actually aren't even minding their like anger or their. For me, today I missed for my homework. That stressed me out. That has me at 15% stress. Cool. Later on today, my friend was supposed to meet me, take me out, whatever the case was. It's a big part of my day that made me really stressed out. That just added 45 points to the stress level. Now we're at 60. That type of thing. You know, like, okay, I'm super stressed. I need to take a break. That's one thing that's really important. You need to off the screen. You need to like really try to gauge that, like, for real, because that's why a lot of people blow up when they're angry and they're like talking to people and then they're just like all of a sudden something triggers them and then they just explode. That's because most of the time they're not minding their stress level and they're not minding the things that are making them upset, and they're not able to talk about what's making them upset with people. So, I mean, with that being said, like I said, you need to be aware of your triggers, man. Like, if you know something triggers you, you need to, like, literally stop, breathe, and honestly, I mean, I can't say not let it trigger you, but you need to just be conscious of it. You know, I like to be conscious of my words because I'm a human being, too. Like, I don't like to say things like, calm down, and, like, because I understand people's feelings and emotions. And sometimes you're angry, and sometimes you need to be angry. That's another thing as well. Mental hygiene, people have the common misconception that you need to shut out your feelings. You don't need to shut out your feelings. You need to be healthy with your feelings and non-destructive with your feelings. So if you get angry, it's okay to be angry, but you can't get angry and just start messing everything up and being violent. You know, you can be sad, but that you can't go in the corner and just like cry all day. I mean, if you want to cry for the day, sure, but I'm just saying, like, you can't just be like, I'm gonna cry for the rest of the week. You know, like, you need to really at a point say, hey, I'm gonna just work on it. So basically, my tips were: be aware of stress levels, be aware of your triggers, avoiding toxic positivity. Again, I actually mentioned it earlier, but when things are going bad, man, you can't just always be like, this is okay, this is fine. It's like that meme with the dog. He's just in the fire, or they're just in the fire, and they're just like, this is fine. It's not fine. Like, that's a funny meme. Don't get me wrong, that's a funny meme. But like, even that is like a prime example of like mental stuff. It's like, it's clearly not fine, bro. You need to get out of there. Like, you need to be uncomfortable at times. I find I like to put myself in a lot of uncomfortable positions in order to be able to know how to get myself out of them. And also so I can sit and just think about, I need to do this, I need to work on that. If I immediately decide to just try to pretend like this feeling doesn't exist, that's even worse. That's how you build up, and that's how you explode. I know it kind of sounds contradictory to some things I've said, but there's a difference between sitting down, being upset, and figuring out why you're upset versus exploding on somebody in the heat of a conversation. There's two different things there. It's like, let me calm down, turn my anger off so I don't explode on this person. Then you get to this point where it's like, now you're upset at home. You can stay upset, but try to figure out why you're upset. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. Another thing too with mental hygiene is, like I said, is sharpening your mind. So I suggest, again, like talking to a homie, maybe going to therapy, things of that nature, because I always try to do things alone, and then like it's really unfortunate, because a lot of us, we try to take on too much. We just literally try to take on too many things. One shoulder has depression, one shoulder has bipolar. On your back, you're carrying like just a bunch of anger. Like, some people can see that, and some people aren't going to be comfortable enough to just walk up to you and say, hey, Osiris, like, I noticed you've been dealing with a lot lately. Do you want to talk? People aren't going to be comfortable with that. No matter how much they want to, they may be working on their own thing. They may not want to take the load on. They may not know how to approach you, especially if you're a person that is potentially like narcissistic. You don't necessarily want to reach out for help. They may feel like, you're always kind of like whatever. So my advice is, be aware when you need help. And if you don't know if you need help, just talk about it with certain friends. Say, hey, I don't know if I need help. I don't know what's going on. I just been feeling this way lately, and I really feel like I need somebody to listen to me for a second. Some people could talk to you and make you realize, like, again, this kind of contradicts what I said as far as toxic positivity, but some friends can literally make you realize it's not the end of the world. They may not necessarily say, hey, look, cheer up and all of that stuff there, but they'll let you know, like, yo, like, you lost $100 today, but this person's home just like, they just got evicted out of their home, bro. Like, things like that. Like, that is like a good way to bring somebody down to earth. But anyway, I don't want to ramble. I feel like I'm rambling. It's Osiris Lourde Under The Scope, episode number 12. Episode number 12 was about mental hygiene. Remember, the Lord loves you, all your friends, family. Please take the time to watch all these videos in detail. Watch them when you're feeling sad. Watch them when you're feeling happy. Watch them when you feel unsure. And like I said, I love you guys. I will definitely try to keep doing some mental health videos. Season 1 is more physical skills. It's not mental skills like this one and mental sharpening, but I will definitely try to keep you guys in the loop of Lourde Under The Scope, the mental podcasting type of thing. Whatever. Peace. Funky. Dun, 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 dun. Discord. Open up. Discord. Hurry the fuck up. Discord. Open up. Where's Craig? And record the shit. Do that quick. And before I get pissed. Mental hygiene is the shit. Open up, join the voice.
Alright. This motherfucking episode 12. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucking episode 12. On the episode 12.